What year is it?
No, seriously. I recorded the footage and wrote the script for this video almost exactly 3 years ago. I don't even know how to present this one. I think the best I can do is show you sort of like an abridged playthrough and just go through what happened step by step, because there's a lot to go over. Get some snacks and buckle up. We're gonna be here for a while. BloodNet is a game from Microprose that came out for DOS back in '93. As soon as it boots up, we're treated to a wall of bloody text that's kind of difficult to parse, and an absolute cacophony of a music track. Keep in mind, this is coming from a Roland SC55. You do not want the Sound Blaster version.
For me?
What? You cut yourself off a bit there, pal. Yeah, this game has issues when you're running it with old hardware and software from back in the day. With my setup, every time you boot up the game, the first spoken line of dialogue gets cut off or never plays. There's probably some PC configuration out there that runs the game perfectly, but I have no idea what's going on with mine. It's not a big deal, I guess.
Maybe. I thought I could find someone like you in a place like this.
My lucky day. The name's Ransom Stark.
Ah, shit, I think I just cut myself on that razor-sharp 90s edge. God damn! Oh, please don't tell me this is my guy. I know it's unfair, but Ransom is one of those names that just makes me assume that you're an asshole. Or at least that your parents are assholes. If it were me, I'd consider changing it. It's like if your last name was spelled C-O-L-O-N, colon. Now you might be a really nice colon. Hell, your family might be chock full of fantastic colons. But you're not fooling anybody by saying it's pronounced like cologne, come on. Basically what I'm saying is, I'm gonna be calling this guy Stark for the rest of the game.
Looks like clients aren't exactly beating down your door, Stark.
Yeah, this intro is over 10 minutes long, so I'm gonna do you all a favor and summarize a bit. Basically, this mystery woman walks in and hires us to do a piece of cake job for her father for about 50 grand. Stark's pretty enamored with her, and when he meets her to collect, things get steamy.
That will be enough, Melissa. You can amuse yourself with him later. I am Abraham Van Helsing.
Van Helsing? That's a little on the nose, but I guess they're just giving a nod to one of the game's inspirations. Yeah, sure, fair enough. I wonder if he knows that the woman in his house is a vampire.
You work for me now, Stark.
I'm not on your payroll anymore, Pop, so don't start throwing your weight around.
You do not yet see the seriousness of your position. You shall.
Nah, I think I'll be seeing the door, Daddy.
Yeah, Ransom is kind of an asshole, so I guess the name fits.
No, Stark. You will not leave this room until I have tasted of you.
What are you? Your eyes. So intense.
You have given me what I need. The address of Deirdre Taggett. My vampires and I have tracked dozens of former Transtech employees who might have known where Taggett was hiding herself. At last we found you. Feel my mouth on your neck.
Oh, I love it when you talk dirty.
Daddy.
Well, it's not the booty call that we came for, but... Also, wait, Van Helsing's a vampire? Well, that went off script pretty fast. And just like that, we're a vampire too. Something tells me this isn't how Stark wanted his night to go.
When we have captured Taggett and taken from her the information that we need, I will be but one step from attaining power over Manhattan, cyberspace, and beyond. I shall control the Earth's computers. I shall have power without limit.
Unfortunately for Van Helsing, we've got a trick up our sleeve. A vampire's greatest weakness. Aside from, holy water, a cross, a stake to the heart, head chopped off, holy wafers, garlic, running water, fire probably. Now in theory, Stark should have been under Van Helsing's mental control, according to the man himself, but we've got another trick in our pocket, or rather in our head, a neural implant. In fact, this implant seems to be sentient and informs us that it's working overtime to keep us, us. The implant's got some sass, too.
I think I have fangs. Get a grip on yourself, Ransom. Current inputs are confusing enough. I need less babble from you and more analysis. I'm doing my best here.
It informs us that we might be able to reverse the transformation into a vampire, but it's anybody's guess how. Oh, and it's going to run out of power in a matter of days, so we better figure it out fast. By the way, that annoying audio popping that happens when characters are talking sometimes seems to be baked into the game's audio files.
Assuredly.
There's nothing I can do about it as far as I know. I tried it on a couple sound cards, and it even happens in DOSBox. Anyway, our goal is clear. Don't be a vampire. But before we can start the game, we gotta customize our character. I didn't mention it earlier, but this is an RPG, mixed with a bit of point-and-click adventure. We've got a couple options for character generation. The fast way, where we just allocate some stats, and the long way, where we have to answer a bunch of questions. I went with the long way. According to the manual, the first few questions determine what's essentially your class: mercenary, scrounger, or cyberpunk. The questions that you're offered after that are influenced by this class and affect your skills. I like this option in games, especially when I have no idea what I'm doing in the first place. Okay, so I go through, answer the questions, and I have no idea what class I am. The game never tells you as far as I know. Lack of information is gonna be a bit of a running theme in BloodNet, especially when it comes to stuff like this. We still get to do a final bit of customization and allocate a few more stat points after all the questions are answered. I don't know what I'm doing here. I guess I'll just improve my hacking, high-tech weapons, and observation skills. The manual does give you a general idea of what these skills and stats do, but it's scarce on the details. After all that, we get dropped right back into Tackett's lab. Yeah, we didn't make it in time. She's gone. Well, I guess we should search the room for clues. On top of all the stuff we can see, we can also get a text description of the area for a bit more context. Seems like Tackett's computer still works. That's good, because our implant gave us a hint at the end of the game intro. A code to a well in cyberspace. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but I cannot let this go. It's probably happened before, but this is the first time that I can remember a game giving critical information in the opening cutscene. And I don't mean just for the story. I mean for progression. If you do not watch that intro in full, you are going to be screwed later. Even though the lab has been ransacked, there's still a bunch of stuff on the ground. You can look at any object you can pick up for a bit more info. I guess I might as well take everything. Who knows what's going to be useful later. We also have a list of contacts. Its main purpose seems to be to give you some ideas of where you might start looking for help, but as far as I know, it never updates with new information as the game progresses. At this point, there's really not much left to do but leave or deck into the net. Our implant suggested that we check out Tackett's well, so I guess let's do that. You can think of a well as a location in cyberspace, like a website or some other server. The internet has a million different names in BloodNet. I guess it's a bit more than just the internet because it's supposed to be a full-on virtual reality experience, but the function is more or less the same. See that little spinning silver guy? That's us. Most of the other stuff floating across the screen is just for atmosphere. To get to Tackett's well, we have to find one of these other spinning silver guys. A FATS terminal.
I'm the File Access Table System module for this quadrant. Call me Fax. If you provide me with a destination address, I can transmit your matrix instantaneously. Please enter a code.
Hope. Yeah, we could use some of that right about now. This was the address given to us in the intro, but I won't spoil the rest of them in case you want to try this game out for yourself. Inside the well, Oh no! I spent too long dicking around on the general plane and got caught by the internet police. See, the internet in New York is controlled by Trans Technicals, this one megacorp. You know what? There's no time now. We'll talk about it later. They said they erased my deck's memory, so I guess it already happened? Maybe I can be sneaky and just grab this journal and exit the Matrix? Shit. They're smarter than I gave them credit for. The journal's gone. They warned me not to come back, but maybe if I'm quick, I can go back in and the journal will have respawned. And nope, the journal's gone. Not even 15 minutes in and we're screwed. Time to use the most powerful weapon in my arsenal. Back in C-Space, I meet a Dragon Man. Actually, I met some other characters before as well, but since I reloaded, those conversations aren't canon. Maybe we'll meet him again later. This particular dragon, well, see for yourself.
So you know what I am, smart guy. But do you know who I am? Any guesses?
Seeing as your cyber ego is about as big as TransTech's hacker hit list, you gotta be the king himself.
That I am. Elvis lives in the net. And he's done so much damage he can't remember it all. Of course, never wreaking havoc on the common decking man. I'm just a man on a mission for information freedom, baby.
Damn straight! Tell him, Elvis!
I'm a king.
You sure are, buddy. Elvis has a problem, though. And I ain't talking about peanut butter banana ham sandwiches or whatever the hell it is he likes to eat. He's stuck in the net due to some buggy software he tried to merge with. His body's long dead, so he needs an artificial one to download his consciousness into, and he wants to know if we're willing to help. You're goddamned right I am. You don't turn down the king.
You just got yourself one badass fighter who knows cyberspace like the back of his hand. Let's go.
We finally get to read Tackett's journal. There's a lot of information, but basically she's been fighting the vampires for a while now, for some reason, and she knows that Van Helsing is the root of the evil in Trans Technicals. The journal also mentions the Red Cross Knights, an order of vampire slayers, and Incubus, the program Van Helsing mentioned he was after in the intro. Turns out, Tackett programmed it, and it's the key to ultimate power in the net. Yeah, I don't think we want Van Helsing to get his clammy undead mitts on that. A group of children called the Lost Kids, who are Tackett's aides, permanently abandoned their bodies to guard Incubus in C-Space. That's a pretty grown-up decision for children. We also get the location of a lab owned by one of Tackett's acquaintances. Whew, you get all that? Okay, now that we're done with the first screen of the game, it's time to pick somewhere else to go. I love this overworld map. It scrolls a bit slow, but it looks great. I can't even imagine what a pain in the ass it must have been to be a digital artist back in the day. Anyway, BloodNet is an early example of an open world game. With the exception of a few locations that open up later, we can go anywhere on the map whenever we want. It kind of helps cement the feeling of panic. I'm in trouble, and I have almost no idea what to do or where to go, but my options for trying to figure this out are wide open. There were probably half a dozen wrong choices for every right one, and I can ignore the direction the game has been pushing me in so far if I want to, even if it's a bad idea. I'm gonna stick with the game's advice though. First and foremost, we need a crew. We're just one, sort of, but not quite vampire in a great big city that's out to kill us. So it's off to the abyss where this whole mess started. According to our contacts, we have some friends who like to hang out there. There are an absolute ton of people to talk to here, and it highlights one of the game's strengths. The voice acting can be a bit of a mixed bag, but there are a lot of interesting characters, and almost all of them in the abyss are for hire.
Dwayne sent you with the kusari?
What?
The medicine. The drugs, man. The drugs.
The music here is grating and arrhythmic. The smoke pollutes my optic sensors.
Yeah, I'm having fun too.
You look like you shove and push. I can show you the floor from all kinds of angles.
Kinky as that sounds, I'd pass.
Do you see my hands? These hands strangle God's enemies. These hands crush the throat of the Socialist Party candidate for mayor of Chicago.
I decided to pick up a couple friends since they're willing to work for free. Lash Givens.
Greg, my Matrix, what the hell happened to you? You look half dead.
And Rima Fizz.
Stark, how you been? Garrick and I gave up on you months ago. Thought you must have bought the permanent cyber vacation, know what I mean? Hey, you don't look so good.
Rima suggests we go find her partner Garrick, who's somewhere else in the city. They take the news about Stark being a vampire pretty well.
This'll sound crazy, Lash. Those vampire rumors you've been hearing? They're true. I've seen them. I've become one of them, or nearly one of them. A vampire named Van Helsing. Yeah, like the guy in the Dracula legends. He lured me to his penthouse on a bogus job. He was looking for Tackett, and when he got what he wanted out of me, he did this to me.
A vampire? My God, look at you. What the hell do we do about this, Ransom?
They got you, Stark? Of all people? I can't believe it.
I also pick up a merc named Slash, who's recommended by the staff and my contacts list.
I don't know what I've gotten myself into here, but I don't much care.
Even Stark's ex-girlfriend is here and offers to help.
Don't be too proud to ask for help, Ransom. Want me to tag along?
Yeah. I'm not falling for that.
You're gonna end up dead, kid, if you don't let your friends help you. And I am your friend.
I'd rather take my chances with this guy who was hired to kill me once.
I'll watch your back for you. I know it's easy to get a drop on you.
Plus, he kind of sounds like one of the Joe stars, I think.
Oh, no!
Careful with this guy, Ransom. Real emotional.
Oh, my God!
Huh, maybe Lash has a point. Actually, as far as I can tell, none of the voice actors in this game are credited for some reason. I went on Twitter and asked the guy who voices JoJo if he worked on this game, but he never got back to me. I guess we'll never know. Oh, and if you're watching this in 2094, Twitter was a pointless social media platform used almost exclusively for parroting catchy political phrases, snide remarks, and general screeching into the void. I personally used it to yell at Phil Spencer every time he interrupted a YouTube video to install an update on my Xbox. God damn it! Never trust a man with two first names! Oh, and if you're watching this in 2093, YouTube was a garbage social media. Now that we have a team, it's time to hunt down that cure. But not before getting into a good old-fashioned bar brawl. With guns. As you might have expected from an RPG, this game does indeed have combat. But I really don't want to talk about it right now. Let's just get out of here. Since one of my guys got a bit beat up in the scrap, oh look, it was the guy who tried to kill me. I decided my next stop should be the local hospital. Don't want people running around half dead, and I don't have any instant healing items. I gotta say, the atmosphere here is spot on. It reminds me a lot of Shadowrun in the SNES, which came out the same year. Apparently this hospital has a bunch of people whose brains got fried in the net and are basically vegetables on life support. Charlie Flyer here is one of them. His identity apparently shattered and scattered around cyberspace.
Just decked one too many times, eh?
Oh no!
Oh no!
Charlie was one of the best deckers in the business. Someone got to him. I know it. That's the only explanation.
Anyone made an attempt to go in after him?
Only con artists who say they want my money to find him. But nobody can do that. If Charlie was the best and someone got to Charlie, who's good enough to go in after the pieces of his mind?
Sounds like a side quest to me. We'll have to keep an eye out. In the other area of the hospital is a doctor who offers to heal us up. But hang on a second, 21 hours? And on top of that, vampires can only rest in a coffin lined with the soil of their homeland? So if Stark was damaged, he wouldn't even be able to heal here. I don't have that kind of time. At least I don't think. Like the implant said, it'll burn out in a matter of days, and then I'm shit out of luck. Actually, now that I mention it, a time limit is one of the things that I hate most in a game. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind if it's just a short section, but the entire game? Yeah, that's why I didn't ever buy Majora's Mask. I played a bit of a friend's copy when I was a kid and hated the entire time reset mechanic. For some reason, I decided to give BloodNet a chance anyway. I don't know if it's because I'm older, or I've been conditioned to be more receptive to reset mechanics by all the games people call roguelikes, even though they're nothing like the game Rogue. Yeah, okay, if The Binding of Isaac is anything like Rogue, then Thief is just another Doom clone. Either way, I'm stealing these drugs and getting the hell out of here. Clock's ticking. Next stop is a visit to Electric Anarchy, one of the local gangs. Rima said that we should track down her partner here, and I won't say no to more free help. After all, I have no idea what kind of cash flow to expect from this game. We might be broke sooner than later.
Stark, how have you been? And what's Rima doing here? You know I'm waking cloaked.
Most all the people here have just god-awful names, which I love. Freethought, antimatter, nihilistic. This is the kind of stuff I signed up for. After a quick chat with Garrick, he is more than happy to join up, much to the chagrin of Freethought.
Garrick, what the hell are you doing with this guy? We hired you to do a job.
I'm sure that won't come back to bite us. Nihilistic is bullying a kid named Chuck like a punk.
Garrick, you two-diamond bastard! We paid you!
Chuck seems to know Tackett, but I'm not sure how Stark came across that info.
What do you want with me, mister?
My name's Stark. I think we can help each other out. I was friends with Deirdre Tackett, too.
I've heard of you, but why should I trust you?
There's a hit list of Tackett's associates, and I'm on it. We worked together, and now I'm a wanted man because of it.
Yeah? Prove it. I'll believe it when I see it.
And Fractal Chaos here has a job proposition for us.
We need you to hit the security director, the King of the Pigs, at the Brooklyn headquarters. The guy's a heartless bastard, instructing the whole pig army to track down the freaks on the cyber crackdown list and kill him in cold blood. He deserves to die.
Waltz into Transtech HQ and murder the director of security? Yeah, sign me up. Fuck the man. Now that I've got a full squad, I figure the Cloister of the Red Cross Knights would be a good place to visit next, since they're nearby. Tackett said they're fighting the vampires too, so maybe we can work together.
Ho, ho, ho! Look at these men! Look at how they dress! These are your fierce vampire killers?
Play these guys straight, Ransom. The Knights probably take a lot of flack over their outfits, but they look like hard guys to me.
Vampire, Sir Henry. His ghost white skin, the gleam of evil in his eyes. Look, his lips part. The fangs, see them. Explain yourself, demon.
I don't know, these guys sound like wimps to me. Yeah, I should listen to Lash more often. Coming to the Cloisters was a mistake. You have succumbed to your greatest enemy, death! If you decide to play through BloodNet yourself, get used to seeing this screen. It's gonna pop up a lot. Let's try Ludwig Sampson's lab from Tackett's journal instead. Well, it looks like he's home, and he seems busy. Ooh, there's also a cyber torso there. Definitely stealing that for Elvis. I'm sure Ludwig won't mind.
Have the mark of evil about you. You are a vampire. If you've come to kill me, you will find me prepared as hellspawn.
I'm not here to kill you, Dr. Sampson. I need your help. I'm a victim of the evil you fight.
So, you're a vampire with a conscience, eh? You want to undo your fate? Turn your head to the right. Push your hair aside. Yes, I see. You have a neural implant.
The implant's a reality filter of some type.
Wait, who's talking? Did Stark get a cold all of a sudden? He's not sounding quite like himself. Oh well. The good news is that Dr. Sampson has a file in a well that summarizes everything we need to do to cure ourselves. Maybe this will be easier than I thought. I deck in from the lab, and on the way to the well, I meet a guy named Dreg, an old acquaintance of Stark's.
We should really get together for that drink someday.
Right, Dreg. As if you ever left the net. You're decked in round the clock.
Hey, I'd take surfing the Matrix any day over dealing with New York. I even met my girlfriend in here, Stark. We never even had to meet out of the net.
A cyber romance on the edge. Yeah, I'm always one step ahead of the rest of you losers.
Bet women are really impressed with that, Dreg. Of course they can't smell their new boyfriend over the net.
So the girls never meet me. And maybe when they do, it doesn't always work out. But hey, by then I've got a good chance of getting some virtual sex out of the deal.
Unless you're too fat for the virtual suit.
He gives me a virus to crash security drones. Might be useful later. Once we get into the well... Wait, that's weird. It looked like my implant was going to say something, but then it just disappeared. Huh. Apparently this well is somehow more menacing than other areas of the net. I'm not sure what that means or how one could even determine that, but I try a search and Samson won't let me. Something's not right here. I better unplug and see what's going on in the reel. Yeah, it's a trap. Is this about the cyber torso?
Your humanity is defunct, Stark. Your hope is futile. Your search doomed.
Either way, Samson is one of Van Helsing's vampires now, and even though he has a neural implant like ours, he wasn't able to find a cure in time. He attacks, but the trouble is I don't have any stakes, which the manual claims is necessary to kill a vampire. Guess I'll have to try the old lead and laser combo meal instead. To my surprise, it actually works, but I can't help but feel like I missed something important that my implant was trying to tell me. So I reloaded the game, but it happened again. Damn it. Luckily, I found a solution. See, I'm playing the CD version of the game, but there's also a version that was released on floppy disks, which I assume doesn't have any of the voice acting. I'm not sure if there are any other differences. Point being, we can access the text of the floppy version from within the CD game by disabling sound. It's a last resort, but at least I can see what I missed. Turns out it's just the implant letting me know that Samson is screwing me over. Hopefully this is just a one-off issue. Now that Samson's dead, I can actually search the room. I get a couple more cyborg parts, which is awesome, but the real prize? Coveralls. Make no mistake, this outfit is potentially one of the most important items in the game, and if you didn't visit Tackett's Well to unlock the location of Samson's lab, you'll never get him. Yeah, watching that intro all the way through is kind of a big deal. From here, I catch up with acquaintances from another gang. One of them gives me the address of a data cluster, which is different from a well on the technicality that it's owned and operated by Trans Technicals instead of someone else. Trust me when I say you're gonna want to write some stuff down. This game doesn't take notes for you. It does have a dialogue replay option, which is explained in-game as Stark having an eidetic memory thanks to his implant, but the interface is kind of a mess and not every conversation is stored. Come to think of it, I guess we can talk about the UI for a minute. It's okay, but not great. I like that instead of taking up half the screen at all times, it only shows up when you drag your mouse to the top of the window or by right-clicking at the bottom. However, other stuff like inventory management is an absolute nightmare, and once it starts filling up, expect it to take forever to sort it. Especially since there's an absolute ton of stuff to pick up in this game. Grabbing an item is easy enough, but if you drop it onto Stark, it'll just go to whoever has the next available inventory slot. If you want to give it to someone specific, you have to open the party list, click on a character, wait for the character sheet to fade in, and then click on inventory. It takes forever. And speaking of the character sheet, it's fine. I wish mousing over or clicking on a skill would tell you what it does, but maybe that's too much to ask of 1993 UI design. Over at the Cyber Surgery Clinic, we get a couple implants installed.
You here to get a cybergenetic limb attached? Cut rates.
They seem to exist mostly to boost stats at the expense of equipment slots, though there are some bioweapons you can choose from. It also, of course, takes a bit of time and money. Hopefully they're worthwhile. While being able to install cyber implants is certainly an appropriate feature to have in the game, the implementation here seems altogether skippable. After stopping at a local back alley shop, it's off to Central Park. Things aren't looking too pretty.
Such squalor! A pity! A shame! I would die before living in such a place.
My daddy lived in camps like these outside Atlanta. Being here brings back some awful memories.
The park has been turned into a squalid shantytown filled with the city's poor. I buy a couple things off some kids, and in theory I should have enough parts to build a flamethrower now, but I don't have a toolkit yet. That's right, this open-world RPG point-and-click adventure has crafting too. Honestly, it's pretty basic, and like the cyber surgery, I'm pretty sure you can easily go through the entire game without it. It's mostly there to make weapons and armor, along with some combat drugs. Just because you never know with games like these, I go to save the game before moving to the next screen and... Ah, god damn it, BloodNet! You almost gave me a heart attack! It happens every time I bring up the top UI now too, but why? Is it a bug? Who knows, but it sounds like even the UI is on Van Helsing's side. In the other area of Central Park, we chat with a nun trying to help the poor.
Excuse me, Mother. I could use your help.
Blessed Jesus, protect us.
No, don't be frightened. I won't harm you.
Keep quiet. We can't discuss it now. Not here. Meet me at my church. We'll talk there. Meet me in the rear of St. Patrick's in 5 hours. Now go. Leave me.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust her. Even though we're not fully a vampire, showing up at a church just sounds like asking for trouble. Remember the incident with the Red Cross Knights.
Vampires!
Then there's this kid.
Hey, mister. Help a kid out. Can't pass up a kid asking for help, can you?
Depends on what he's asking for.
Just what every kid needs to grow up big and strong. Red lifters.
If they want to grow up to be junkies.
Save it, mister. I'm here to talk business. If you can help old Dodger out and get him lifters, I can trade you for something I've been saving. Look here. It's part of a cyborg, man.
Giving drugs to a minor sounds like a bad idea, though I do want the leg. Cyber Elvis must be complete! I turn him down and he offers to come with me. That also sounds like a bad idea, but I have to admit I am curious. I haven't mentioned this yet, but sometimes you need to click on characters multiple times to hear all they have to say. In this case, Dodger offers me a cyborg head for some different drugs. I turn him down again, and he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I guess that's it, I missed my chance. I don't know if there's another head in the game or not. This is feeling like reload territory. Moving back to the previous screen, there are a ton of people here now. This game actually has a day-night cycle that changes what characters are around when you visit an area. Honestly, all this feels like some pretty advanced stuff for 1993. All these new people are disgruntled former TransTech employees. Their de facto mayor, Kimba West, wants me to get some fiber optic cable so they can set up an area in the shanties to illegally access cyberspace. Then there's Sanders here.
That's a hell of a set of eye gear you're wearing. Even a shacker like you could have your eyes treated at an experimental clinic. Their success rates are over 70% these days.
Even if I would entrust myself to those butchers, they couldn't help me. It's not my eyes, but my mind that's going. I've got Hopkins-Bree syndrome. I can't always tell virtual reality from the real thing. The two overlap for me.
I know of the disease's effects. I wish I could help you.
Like he said, he's familiar with Hopkins-Bree syndrome. That's because he has it himself. The game likes to reference William Gibson in the manual, so I feel like the name Hopkins-Bree itself is maybe a reference to something, but I don't know what, being the uncultured rube that I am. Maybe you can figure it out. At any rate, decking into the net too much or for too long comes with some risks to the human mind. Stark used to do some decking for TransTech, and when he got ill, they kicked him to the curb and left him for dead. I completely understand why he doesn't hold much love for the company. Honestly, it's a story that mirrors real life all too well. The implant Tackett installed is what allows Stark to be functional. Without it, he'd probably be just like Sanders. Fortunately for him, we've got just the ticket. The plan's for him to make an implant of his very own. It was actually one of the very first items in the game we picked up. Still, I can't help but feel that I missed an important opportunity with Dodger earlier. I've been thinking about it, and I'm gonna have to reload. After all, I don't want to play through the rest of the game with regret. Traveling back in time to just after I got my implants installed, I noticed that my bloodlust meter got kinda high, which is cause for concern. See, BloodNet has not one, but two game over timers, potentially at least. The first is the humanity meter, that giant green bar that's slowly draining over time. It basically represents our implant's battery. The other is the red bar on the right, the aforementioned bloodlust meter. It fills up over time, and if it reaches the top, Stark will bite and kill a party member to stay alive. As you can imagine, this is bad, and some people will just straight up ditch you if it happens. If there's nobody around to bite, Stark dies, according to the manual. You can bite people in combat, but yeah, we'll get to the combat soon. You can also just select Bite from the top menu and click on an NPC. Since I haven't tried it, I have no idea how much one bite will clear from the bloodlust meter, so I need to be proactive about this. But who to choose? See, biting people drains the humanity meter, depending on the victim's innocence stat. So I'm fixing one timer while damning the other. And there's no way to know for sure what someone's innocence stat is unless they're in your party. Still, I think I have an idea. Nihilistic back at Electric Anarchy was bullying a kid, and he threatened me when Garrick decided to ditch them to help me. Now, I'm not saying that's grounds to murder someone, but he's the best candidate I've seen so far, and it's better him than me. This is nerve-wracking, though. I don't know if I'm screwing myself out of critical plot information later on, and there's no stealth in this game, so I have to do this in plain sight. Oh sure, there's a stealth stat, but that's for avoiding security in cyberspace. Oh, did you think that's what cybercloaking was for? Well, it is. Stealth just factors into it, somehow. This game's stats are a mess. Anyway, my point is that I'm not sure if trying to bite this guy will make me have to fight all of Electric Anarchy. I don't have much choice, though. Here goes. Well, that was anticlimactic. But damn, did that take a chunk out of my humanity meter. I gotta be careful about biting people. At least my party members are taking this all in stride.
Kind of like a Bloody Mary, ain't it?
Plus, it seems like it fully cleared my bloodlust meter. So apparently, you can bite just about any NPC you want, instantly killing them, with no further repercussions, I guess unless they're critical to a side quest or the main plot. I don't know for sure, but I doubt the game has the courtesy to tell you when you're fucked like Morrowind does. Now that we're not so thirsty, we redo all the stuff leading up to Central Park, including talking to the kids in the first area. But what's this? When I go to the next screen, it's completely different. I didn't mention this before, but there have been rumors about vampire attacks in the park, and it's 3:24 a.m. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Pretty, pretty, pretty. What a dish. What a lovely thing. Would you grant me the pleasure of dinner? Oh, yes. Tasty and delicious. Hot sauce and sugar. We complement each other nicely. Come to me, my lovely.
I still don't have any steaks, but bullets worked on Samson, so we should be fine here. Okay, now let's talk about the combat. It's clunky, to say the least. To start with, each side places their characters. Whoever has the highest leadership stat in the party places them last. I don't think I placed characters first ever for the whole game. Since these are all 2D backgrounds, it can be a bit tricky to figure out where characters can and can't be placed, but once everyone's ready, you have a couple options for how to proceed. First option, you could just select Resume Combat from the menu and let your characters figure it all out for themselves. Sorry, but I don't trust 1993 AI to make those kinds of choices. That means I'm stuck with option 2, manually issuing orders for everyone, which is pretty slow and tedious as it's done through yet more menus. I found it can be tough to click on people sometimes too. There are a bunch of commands here, but the most important is Acquire Target. This allows you to manually select a target for that character, and what's this? We have specific body part targeting. This is really interesting because the first game I remember playing with that feature was Fallout, but that wouldn't come for another 4 years. It wouldn't surprise me if another game did this first, probably even something text-based from the 80s, but this feels pretty ahead of its time. There is a downside though. I mentioned before that the game suffers from a lack of communication when it comes to mechanics. There's no indication of how much targeting a specific body part affects your chance to hit, or your chance to hit at all, for that matter. Each body part has its own HP pool, though the game also never tells you why you might want to target an arm or a leg. Does shooting someone's leg slow them down? Maybe shooting their arm reduces their accuracy with weapons in that hand? There's no way to know for sure. It's never explained. According to the manual, the only way to kill a vampire is a stake to the torso. Killing mortals is a bit easier. Reducing their torso or head down to 0 HP always seems to result in death. That makes sense. You can also kill a mortal by reducing their general HP pool to 0, as you might expect. Okay, everyone's got their orders. Open fire! And here's another big issue I have with the combat. Rather than having HP bars or numbers pop up over characters' heads, we're treated to a massive wall of text after every combat round. I mean, look at this. This is like a novel or a small pamphlet. Come on, guys, you couldn't even format it a little bit? I don't want to read through all this to figure out what happens. This is not fun. You can skip the text if you enable quick combat, but then you have no clue what's going on until people start dying. Another problem I found is that if I wanted to issue new orders after a combat round, I had to mash the escape key before the current round ended. Otherwise, everyone would just continue on doing what they're doing, no matter how stupid. Oh, and when someone dies in this game, that's it. They aren't coming back. And it's easy to get people killed. Combat in this game is dangerous. Make no mistake.
You know, she was the only one who could ever match me in the net. The only one. I lost to Stark. We knew it had to happen sometime, but that doesn't make it any easier, does it?
Vampires, including Stark, can bite people in combat. If someone gets bit about 3 times, they're toast. If Stark manages to do this, it resets your bloodlust, which is a godsend. Vampires can also use the exert will option to try and paralyze people at range, but I didn't get much use out of it. Biting someone already paralyzes victims unless they manage to break the vampire's grip, and it's usually more useful just to blast enemies with overwhelming firepower. It's worth noting that you can choose to run away from most fights, though supposedly characters might abandon the party depending on their courage stat. It was never an issue for me. Anyway, back to the fight. Things don't go well. I blast these bloodsuckers with everything I've got, and they aren't going down. And this one time they even bugged out and ran off screen. We're gonna need to find some stakes. The good news is that if I don't talk to the vampires, they don't try to kill me. Unlike some situations where you're forced into combat as soon as you enter the screen. I tried talking to Dodger again, and this time I accept his offer to join me. I have to replace someone though. Sorry, Galactus, you're injured and I'm on the clock.
This kid may be the best scrounger and jury rig artist in town, but he doesn't look like much of a fighter.
I have to say, this is awesome. Not only can we give drugs to children in BloodNet, but we can add them to our party, arm them to the teeth, and go on a vampire hunt/murder spree throughout the fucking city. Woo! And if you're wondering, yes, he can die.
Man, I hate it when some kid buys it. I need a drink.
Thankfully, when you dismiss or replace a party member, they just drop all their stuff on the ground for you to pick up. I was worried about that. Supposedly, items on the ground can disappear after a while, but I don't think it ever happened in my playthrough. I'm not sure why, but I saved and immediately reloaded my game here. The time somehow jumped to 8:15 in the morning, so everyone I had previously talked to was back. Not a vampire in sight, so I took this opportunity to redo chatting with everyone in Central Park, including the disgruntled TransTech employees. We're more or less back to the original timeline. I don't have much in the way of direction at this point, but the Metropolitan Museum of Art is nearby.
Well, they supposedly closed off the place to protect the artifacts from us working-class vandals. And what happens? These rich guys trash the place. I gotta go. Gotta keep an eye on these clowns.
That sounds about right. Searching the place reveals a sarcophagus. If I try to take it, the guard gets understandably upset.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
Maybe I'll find a way to grab it later. Aside from that, there's this guy.
You look better suited to a more exclusive club I used to belong to. The Hellfire Club. Crazy things going on there. Crazy. You remember?
Let's lie to him.
Then you know how crazy it is. You're smart to be here tonight. Who knows what could happen to you there?
Maybe that was a mistake. Talking to him again, we get just text for some reason, but let's try being honest.
Frankly, the place actually frightens me now. You look like an adventurous sort. Would you like my invitation?
Here. Now keep in mind, the club isn't everybody's business. It's more like a private, exclusive society than a club, really. But you seem like a dependable enough fellow. Enjoy. They meet midtown at the plaza. Oh, and while you're there, you might want to look up my associate, Emily Esaki. Maybe she can show you around.
Nice. This seems promising. Next stop is Strawberry Fields. If you're not familiar with it, this is a memorial to John Lennon in Central Park. Yeah, Central Park is huge for being in a city. It's a little under 1.5 square miles in size. The Black Agates here have turned the place into a fighting arena.
Try me, try me, try me. Bring ox, bring ox, bring ox, bring 'em, bring 'em. Yeah, yeah.
Knock 'em dead, champ.
Their guy seems like quite the contender. And then there's Shock Marad.
We're waiting on a guy right now. A rich guy named Van Helsing promising us a proprietary database from Rimbus drugs. We can synthesize a week's worth of partying with the information in that D-base. All we got to do in return is kill a guy for him. Van Helsing hasn't told us the target yet. We don't work till he delivers the database. Boy, I feel sorry for the bastard when we get hold of him.
Yeah, whoever that guy is, he's in big trouble. Am I right?
You've got a job then?
Looks that way. Lest you can come up with that database sooner than Van Helsing. I don't give a damn who I get it from, long as I get it. Van Helsing's supposed to deliver it to us here 2 nights from now. If you can beat him here with it, I'll work for you. Otherwise, I off this guy for Van Helsing. Seems fair to me.
This does seem like an opportunity to screw over Van Helsing, if only a little bit, but I have no idea where this drug database is or how to find it. I'll keep an eye out. From here, we stop at another of the local street vendors and pick up a patch cord. This is useful because it allows other people to come into the Matrix with us, allowing us to rely on their skills instead of just Stark's. This is actually a pretty solid feature of the game. Usually, when you try to do something out of combat, the character with the highest skill steps up and automatically handles things. For example, when I search, Slash takes point because he has the best observation in the party. No additional menuing required. I could go to the Hellfire Club next, but instead I decide to track down some more old contacts at the Houston Matrix Rovers first.
Damn, you look casters up like you're dying or something.
Actually, I'm undying.
You know, Stark is awfully cavalier about telling people he's a vampire. The only backstory we get is that rumors of vampire attacks are commonplace and that there are stories about them on the news daily, but few people have ever actually seen one. Going into BloodNet, I wasn't sure if vampires were supposed to be a known quantity or not. I guess they must be because most people can barely even muster a reaction when Stark tells them about his condition.
Anything we can do, Ransom?
No masquerade to protect here. Okay, so it seems like Hakeem here might be able to help out with the Charlie Flyer situation back at the hospital.
Family members and loved ones of cyber-lost deckers are willing to pay big for someone willing to jack into the net and look for the pieces.
But I don't have the hardware he's looking for.
Can't get performance out of the Elite Series decks. I need a Praxis 3000 or whatever they're using at Transtech these days. But that's taking time. Otherwise, I'm ready to start. Maybe we could help one another. You come up with a Praxis 3000, I'm yours. No questions asked.
We also get a bit of detail about one of Stark's old Transtech contacts and how decking actually works in the world of BloodNet.
Last time you were here, you were asking after a Transtech employee named Tim Goldfarb?
Yeah, I knew him from when I used to work there. Keeps his ears open, hears stuff. Good contact to have. Nice guy, too. But I've lost touch with him.
Turns out old Timmy was doing his own unauthorized decking. Got into Notional Labs data cluster and started experimenting with morph codes that are stored there. Morph code is software designed to be introduced into a human consciousness while it's rendered in cyberspace, and then make changes to a person. Potentially rewire, re-engineer a human being. When a person decks, his consciousness is reduced to numbers, sorted into files, and stored in a soul box. Morph codes are compatible with soul boxes. Want to make yourself stronger? Your eyes see better? Maybe you want to increase your sex drive. Maybe decrease it, eh? Learn languages? Add deep bases of information to enhanced memory centers? Triple your brain's rate of neural exchange? Anything. All without the limits and side effects of machinery and chemicals. Because the morph code changes what you are. It changes the numbers in your data angel, and when you leave the net, those numbers become you.
Sweet Jesus. I could use a cigarette, I think. I'm no philosopher, and I'm happy about that because I don't want to think about the implications of that stuff.
So your friend Timmy finds a cache of this stuff and starts messing with it. Except this stuff's for pros only, right? Don't try this at home, kids. He botched the program merge between the morph code and his soul box. Ended up with severe brain damage.
Institutionalized?
He's running crazy downtown with a loose-knit gang of psychos called the Autonomy Dogs. Do yourself a favor, Stark, and forget about him. The dogs are crazy people. Killers. Psychotic refuse. Let it go.
Sounds like we might not be able to rely on old Timothy anymore. This morph code business sounds interesting, though. Honestly, I appreciate the game going the extra mile to explain how decking works. I don't know if humanity will ever be able to treat a brain like a hard drive, downloading, uploading, and manipulating a person's identity at will, but it's an interesting and dangerous-sounding concept. It seems kind of similar to the idea of eugenics. Sure, we could use genetic modification to wipe out some truly horrible shit from the human population, but it also raises a ton of ethical, political, and economic questions that we haven't been able to sort out so far. I'm not going to give you any answers because I haven't spent enough time thinking about this stuff to have them, but as an easy thought experiment, consider this. Suppose we could genetically modify a fetus to have an advantageous trait, like increased natural intelligence or something like that. Who should be able to do this? Everyone? It costs money, so just the families that can afford it then? In that case, should it be subsidized by the government? And if so, at what income threshold? Should race be a factor based on current data regarding performance in schools? Maybe we should consider geographic location based on that same data. Plus, we of course have to consider the human rights aspect. After all, the fetus and by extension the person they become certainly aren't going to have any say in whether or not they want to be genetically modified. However, depending on who you ask, the fetus may not even have any rights in the first place because it's not considered to be a person yet. Yeah, I lied when I said this would be an easy thought experiment, and I'm barely even scratching the surface here with a few thoughts off the top of my head. However, the morph code thing has one important quirk. It can work on an adult, consenting or otherwise. That fixes some of the issues, but creates others. I'm sure that there are no clandestine organizations that would ever abuse something that could rewrite someone's memories, skills, or even identities. Anyway, next up we check out Café Voltaire.
Welcome to the Café Voltaire, my friend. Keep those weapons at your side. I encourage my customers to discuss armed revolution, but I don't want it beginning here, you see.
Typical.
Can't say I've seen many bars like this one.
There is none like it, sir. None. It is people, mon ami, who grant life and personality to a café. And it is the people who talk here ceaselessly, who drink absinthe cocktails, write poetry, experiment with technology, seduce one another with unbridled passion and imagination, who give this place spark.
I've always been suspicious of wordy intellectuals. They think they can justify anything if they cover it over in enough bullshit.
Stark's got a point here. This seems to be the go-to move for most politicians especially. I mean, let's be honest. People generally run for office because they think they know better than the person who's already holding the position, and being bluntly honest with people isn't how you win an election.
Silicon cracks in my eyes as I awake to another wholesome trans-technicals breakfast. This time the toast is too crisp.
Preach, sister! Kimba West from Central Park gave me a contact to track down here who can help me infiltrate TransTech to get the fiber optic cable she wants.
It's going to cost you $25,000. As you know, once it's done, TransTech won't be onto you as much when you're exploring the Brooklyn office. So it's well worth it. And I'm not in the mood to hear any complaints. You prepared to pay now? Great. Now, you want in the megacorp? You gotta be the megacorp. I'm going to enter your essence into Trans-Technical Security System. You'll always be recognized as upper-level clearance when you enter. It'll cut down substantially on being busted.
Damn, that was pricey. I'm starting to get worried about her finances. We're running a bit low on cash.
Now, you must have at least a samurai soul box to have the essence imprinted into your matrix. I'll meet you in the net.
As a matter of fact, I happened to pick one of those up at some point. We should talk about the deck a little bit. It's a bit confusing because there are decks you can have in your inventory, but as far as I can tell, they're completely superfluous, except for the one Hakeem wanted as a condition to join up with us. There is a dedicated deck screen though, where you can upgrade a few components, as well as see what's stored in its memory, which is basically another type of inventory. The soul boxes are supposed to increase your decking integrity, which allows you to stay in the net longer, but I'm not sure how much it matters outside of quests like this one. Checking out the other side of the cafe, we run into Cyril Thorpe, who looks like some kind of future techno-bubbles.
Now, resist. Think. Picture what that steroidal berry pie will do to your hips.
It's just not right. It's really eerie here. Something's fucky.
Apparently, this guy is some kind of super psionic decking wizard. I figure if Cyril's safe decking into the net here, then I probably am too, so I get the TransTech clearance I just paid for.
TT/:. Copy RNS Stark.
Back in the real world, someone gives me a note with the address to a well where I can talk to Cyril in the net, but it's in 3 languages. What a dick. I guess if you're proficient with these languages, you can skip this next step, but you'd be missing out on one of the best characters and most fun puzzles in the game.
Jerry Sue said you can help me translate this message into English.
0 down, beer container, 1 down, Zulu, Latin, German, are my 2 down, medicine or law, and my 1 across, a day in the blank of.
Benny here speaks in crossword puzzle clues. This took a while to figure out, but the clues lead to a well with some software to help translate the note. With the note translated, I can finally have a real chat with Cyril.
Bad karma. Bad karma. I sense an evil in you. Bad karma. You want help, don't you? The evil spirit is too strong for someone, am I right? Perhaps you wish to deceive? I can't rid you of the evil, but I can stifle it.
He's making some cryptic assumptions, and I'm not really sure what he's talking about. I don't know, maybe it'll make sense later. There are also some people affiliated with an anti-TransTech gang called the Kafka Conspiracy here. One of them sets up a meet.
Be at 23rd and 9th Street in 17 hours. Someone would be there.
My schedule is getting pretty full, so I'll get to him when I can. Instead, and against my better judgment, I decide to pay Mother Mary a visit at the cathedral.
I hear that TransTech has it in for organized religion. You figure the company wants a monopoly on God as well?
Man, I didn't think New York had any churches left.
Well, I'm not being ambushed by holy warriors, so it's a start.
I'm sorry for being rude with you at the camps, but it isn't safe for your kind there. There have been a number of vampire deaths in the camps lately. The people are scared. Some of them may have recognized you, like I did, for what you are.
I haven't killed anyone in those camps. I'm a victim too.
I believe you. I've met others of your race, and I know you're not all evil, that some of you desperately seek release from your curse.
Then you can help me. Perform an exorcism or something. A scientist told me that one of the things I needed to cure myself was a priest to perform an exorcism on that part of the vampire curse that affects my body.
A scientist told me I need an exorcism. Never thought I'd hear that one.
If you can help me escape this curse, I could stop the guy responsible for these vampires.
Alone, there is little I can do for you, and I can't leave St. Patrick's for any period of time, or there may not be a church here for me to return to.
But I just met you in Central Park. Though to be fair, the cathedral is only a few blocks away.
What are you talking about?
The church has enemies, Mr. Stark, for reasons I can only guess at. Trans-Technicals sees the church as its enemy and wants to close St. Patrick's forever. Brother Complicitous is the parish solicitor. He can fill you in on the details.
Basically, Trans-Tech is an illegal battle over ownership of the land the church is built on. If we want Mary's help, we have to solve that problem first. To that end, we get a couple names to follow up on when we get the chance. Bill Dugan and Walter McAllister. There are a few cruets of holy water here and a cross. They aren't stakes, but maybe they'll be useful. Better take them just in case. Since I need a coffin for Stark to be able to heal, I figure I better get one of those soon before I get into some real scraps. Best place I can think of to find one of those is at a cemetery, except...
The undead walk before us! Kill the hell-spawned bastard!
Uh-oh. Damn it, I said I wanted a coffin before I got into any real scraps. This is bad. There are a ton of people here. I tried this fight a bunch of times, and I could get through it, but not without someone dying. I don't like it, but I guess the coffin's gonna have to wait. The autonomy dogs hang out nearby, so I guess I'll pay them a visit instead. Timothy Goldfarb is here, and he's not looking us so good. That morph code really fucked him up.
Where can I find the morph? Can you tell me that?
Tough to theoretical agendas speak. My mind's radium oatmeal fruit.
Based on our conversation, I think I know what address I can find the morph codes at. It's subtle, but if you listen to what he has to say, you'll probably be able to figure it out too. I need a drink, so I figure it's finally time to pay a visit to Trans-Tech HQ. I have a job to murder the head of security, and I just got security clearance, so the timing seems good.
I can't imagine a company that would put this statue in its lobby.
Ugh, I never did like coming into this place. No matter how many times I've been in here, that statue still gives me the creeps.
Check for clearance badge is negative. Admission to headquarters denied.
Well, that was fast. $25K to get security clearance, only to be turned away at the door because I don't have a fucking employee badge. This reminds me of how penetration testing works in the real world. Except in the real world, it would be the other way around. Someone would just put on a badge and walk through the door, skipping the whole computer security part. Most people just want to get through the workday and don't like confrontation, so as long as you act with confidence, you could probably get away with more than you'd think. That's how I was able to buy beer when I was 20 one time. My legal team just informed me that I need to tell you kids not to try that at home. Well, the Trans-Tech murder job's a bust for now, so instead, I guess we should check out the Hellfire Club.
Watch yourself with these here wealthy folks. Rich and powerful start partying. People like us get hurt.
Good evening, sir. Do you have proof of membership or an invitation?
Why, yes I do.
Welcome to the Hellfire Club, sir. Enjoy your visit.
Thank you, good man, I shall. I'm parched, let's get a drink.
Evening, sir. Can I get you anything from the bar? Hey, wait a minute. Oh, wow. You really truly are the real thing, aren't you? This is great.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You can't fool me, sir. Yeah, I've waited on this bunch of foolish wannabe vampire actors, but I know the real thing when I see it.
So this is what had the other guy so scared about the Hellfire Club. Yeah, I can see how a bunch of people pretending to be vampires could be a little unnerving. You never know who's going to take the LARPing too far, especially when you're among strangers.
Take me with you. Whatever it is you do, let me go along. Let me hang around. I'm real good at vampire things.
I don't know, Renfield. I have it on good authority you can't be trusted. That said, Van Helsing flipped the script. This is a tough decision, but I guess we'll give him a chance.
Great. Listen, I don't think we should really talk here. I don't know where you're staying, but I've got a cool place downtown where you might want to crash.
You better not be leading me into a murder trap at your murder apartment, Renfield. Anyway, he apparently quits his job on the spot. There are a few other guests that we can chat with here, including this woman who wants help killing her husband.
I'm in the need of some sporting goods, shall we say. Perhaps in your street dealings you could see to acquiring for me a small handgun of sorts.
Small game hunting?
Why, yes. Namely, my husband. Right now, the weasel's probably in one of the parlors with his longtime partner in debauchery, Walter McAllister, and God knows how many disease-ridden women. Walter's practically a kept man. It'd be the end of Walter's illustrious trans-tech career if his wife found out.
Sure, lady, I can sell you a gun. I got tons of them. Happy murdering. That tip about Walter McAllister is sure to come in handy, too. Then there's this trans-tech executive.
You must be a member of the Inner Sanctum. I'd heard that vampirism was the Sanctum's latest vogue. Is Abraham Van Helsing taking part in your masquerade? He certainly looks the part, and God knows he has the energy of an immortal. The man never sleeps, and he seems to have run the Star Chamber since the company began.
Van Helsing? You know him? He sits on the Star Chamber, Trans-Technical Secretive Governing Council? I didn't know he was that powerful.
Power is a precious commodity in this city, but Abraham has hardly cornered the market. I intend to find out precisely how powerful that old man is. He uses the company's resources to pursue his own agenda, and that threatens my financial interests. If the old bastard thinks he can take me, he's in for the shock of his life.
If Van Helsing's on your shit list, maybe we could help one another.
I think not. He would be out of your league, my boy. But here, take this. It's a security clearance badge that will allow you to enter the Trans-Technicals building. Take it and do what you can. Maybe I'll be lucky and you'll kill Abraham for me.
Wow, what a guy. He's so completely nonchalant and arguably irresponsible that he's willing to allow a complete stranger to run amok in TransTech HQ and potentially murder one of his colleagues and who knows how many other people just to solidify his own position within the company. Business is war. Exploring the rest of the club, we get our first look at Walter McAllister.
I have done nothing wrong. There is nothing to see here. Get out.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much. Honestly, if all it takes to bring this guy down is proof that he's fooling around with another woman, we should be done right now. This is supposed to be 2094. We should be able to just take some video with a phone that's in our contact lenses and call it a day. Of course, the game isn't going to make it that easy.
Watch what you say in here. Inner sanctum of the Hellfire Club's full of ruthless operators.
Back in Central Park, this is just the kind of place we imagined that vampires brought their victims and ravished them.
Well, let's see what the Inner Sanctum is all about.
A newcomer, I see. Welcome, darling. You must, of course, partake of the refreshments. It is an acquired taste, but so well worth it. I myself find it all terribly sexy.
Drink this. It's real blood.
Yeah, she isn't fucking around. There are bottles of blood in here, and you best believe I'm taking them. The blood meter never stops rising. As a matter of fact, I think I'll crack one open right now. When in Rome and all that. Much better. Honestly, while I guess I do appreciate having these, they take a lot of the tension out of the game. Without them, the only way to clear the bloodlust meter is by chomping on some poor sap in combat, which is potentially dangerous to your health. Or some poor sap in the street, which is potentially dangerous to being able to complete the game. Anyway, let's mingle some more.
Join me tonight on the hunt. I will find us a brother and sister. Well-fed middle management offspring. A bit on the bland side, I know. But with blood rich in lipids and sugars.
Vampire? A vampire come to hellfire? Are you the brute responsible for the wave of vampire deaths panicking the city?
Not me, Jackson.
Do you serve him, then?
He doesn't pay, and I don't work for free. I hate cheap rich guys.
So, you are a lone stalker, and you have an ostentatious enemy. Do not try to deceive me. I can compel you to tell the truth. Not even your creator will be able to withstand my demands.
The truth is, I'm in a room full of blood-drinking lunatics.
You said it, Stark. We should get out of here soon. These people seem unstable.
But now I hunt the night with Gisang, and I don't fear it, because I can reverse its effects. I can recapture my mortality, or at least begin to, with this. I purchased it from a bent old woman in Chinatown right before I drained her empty. She said that the other half had been purchased by a man named White Gibbon. It can cure us. I don't understand it much, but Gi Sang pretends to. He can tell you the why. Here, you can keep it. I already know the secrets.
I spoke to Linda. She gave me this fragment of an amulet. Said you knew something about it. She says it cures vampirism.
Between you and me, friend, Linda would know an occult amulet if it grafted itself permanently to her skin. As to vampirism, she was less than willing. So my little story about the amulet calmed her fears.
You're saying this doesn't have supernatural powers?
I'm saying I don't know much about it.
Huh. I don't know what to think of this amulet, but I better hang on to it just in case and track down this Wyke fella. Now that I have a badge, it's time to head back to TransTech. There are a lot of loose threads leading me here.
Welcome to Trans Technical's corporate headquarters. Security badge check is positive. May your day be a profitable one.
What do you want? I can't help you with anything. You don't have clearance. But you're interested in getting clearance, am I right?
Pretty sure I have that covered, but why not?
You gotta be one of us, if you know what I mean.
I'm not following you.
Your only real chance of getting in and staying alive is if the system recognizes you as someone on the inside.
Okay. Guess we forgot to record some lines in the studio the first time around.
And that means more than a badge. It means you're uploading a copy of your cyber identity into the system.
As expected, this tip is useless now. I guess we should talk a bit more about TransTech now that we're in. They're a global megacorp and the inventors of cyberspace. The manual describes them as a phone company, international bank, software giant, and the CIA all rolled into one business entity. In today's terms, they're basically Amazon's or Facebook's endgame. BloodNet alludes to other companies like TransTechnical's existing, but in New York, it's TransTech all the way.
You know what they say, TransTech owns New York, and she's a nasty landlady, so watch it.
When the manual says TransTech is the phone company, it also really means internet service provider. This game was made in the era of dial-up internet after all. That means we don't need any further evidence to know that TransTech is evil to the core. They even operate like a modern ISP, stifling competition in a specific area so that consumers don't have a choice of who to turn to for service. This game is starting to feel more like an interactive prophecy than entertainment software. Kind of like how Deus Ex predicted the whole worldwide pandemic thing. The manual even calls its shots in the first sentence. BloodNet occurs 100 years from now, in a dystopian high-tech future. A future our world may be coming to. It's a bold move, but I'm guessing anyone who's heard of or played this game will be dead in 2094 anyway. It's never really explained as far as I can tell, but somehow TransTech's monopoly over cyberspace in New York City has led to a war for information freedom. There's a movement called the Underground, made up of unaffiliated hackers, anarchists, and gangs who access the network illegally to get access to this information, whatever that may be. Honestly, the details are so sparse that it sounds more like a bunch of people who don't want to pay for internet service more than some kind of revolution with the moral high ground. But like I said, TransTech is an internet service provider, so we can probably safely assume that they're not working in the best interest of the public good. Suffice to say that Trans Technicals is the culmination of everyone's fears about a company getting too big and too powerful. While it'll certainly be nice to stick it to the man while we're here, we need to keep our eyes on the prize. Don't turn into a full vampire. Everything else is secondary. Jumping into the elevator gives us a few sub-locations we can check out. I think it's time to pay Bill Dugan a visit and find out what's going on with this church foreclosure.
Your name is on this lien against St. Patrick's Cathedral. I want this whole matter resolved, now.
Listen, just calm down, fella. I can't do anything about it. The whole thing is McAllister's doing. I acted as little more than a clerk on this thing. If I had the power to get rid of the whole matter, I would. Hey, my grandmother was a member of the parish years ago, till she was afraid TransTech would raise her rent if she kept going. Believe me, buddy, if I had the power McAllister had, this whole nasty business wouldn't even be taking place. That guy shouldn't be in such a position of power. He's just plain incompetent. Many's the time I've thought of finding a way to ruin that guy.
So you're saying...
I'm saying that if McAllister were out of the picture and I was in, I could help you.
You want I should knock him off?
Oh, God, no. McAllister is a slithering snake, true. But even he doesn't deserve that. Actually, I had something more cruel in mind. Let me say this. McAllister would be nothing without his wife, who's a TransTech biggie and who bought him his job. Now, McAllister has had more than his share of flings. If I were to have evidence of his tawdry affairs with one of his harem, I would gladly deliver it to the old lady and crush McAllister like a bug. Then we could take care of this St. Pat's business.
Any tips on where I can catch him in the act?
Cut the crap, Stark. We know where to find him. We just need a camera or something. We're done here. If we visit McAllister's office, he's there, and unsurprisingly not happy to see us.
You're that trash from the club. How dare you show your face in here? Why are you tracking me? Get out!
We're not supposed to kill him, so somewhat ironically, I guess this is a dead end. Alright, let's check out the security office.
How'd you get in here, boy? This ain't some kind of tour. This is a strictly classified area. If you got in, there's some equipment malfunctioning, and that means someone's head is gonna roll for this. I'm responsible for the safety and security of 11,275 employees and their classified data. And I don't like the looks of you, boy, so get the hell out of my office and this building, boy.
Who you calling boy? Boy!
You got stones, boy, coming back around here.
I never left.
Dumber than you look. I ran a hollow identity check on your image captured on surveillance during your last little visit. And you know what you register as, boy? Top of the cyber crackdown list. You're a wanted man. And you're gonna be a dead man.
Yeah, I bit this fool. Good thing too, because the bloodlust was getting pretty high again. Easiest 10 grand I ever made. I'm a little surprised he doesn't have a small posse of guards or something here. My implant has some complaints.
Enzyme effectors are disabled, and core AI beginning to malfunction. Estimate that I'll cease functioning in a matter of hours.
Stop being such a baby, we're fine. Well, actually, we did catch a few laser blasts. That could be a problem because I still haven't found a coffin for Stark to heal in yet. Searching the room, we find a few security documents, as well as a Draken soul box. That's the best one in the game in our possession already. There's also a cyber crackdown list. Aw, man, he lied! We're not at the top of the list, we're only 4th. Unbelievable, I get no respect in this town, I get no respect. Anyway, there's also an essence chip with Taggart's cyber identity stored on it. Definitely taking that along with this list of her known associates. With that, we're done here for now. I still need to go collect my reward, but more importantly, I need to sort my inventory. Like I said earlier, this can take a while. On the way back to the other side of town, I pay Laszlo Green a visit. He was on TransTech's crackdown list, which unlocked his location. He's got some wild ideas.
You look like the type who can understand the scope of this thing. See, few in this city ever realize what they are. Drones who spend their days laboring for TransTech and spend their nights on the quest for more of the consumer goodies TransTech spits out in our faces, spending the money they've earned sweating for TransTech. Don't you see? We are all enslaved to the corp, bound to the silicon microchips we all work to create. If we cut ourselves on the circuitry, we bleed. But we bleed the toxic blood of the diseased half-human who chokes on the polluted food TransTech shoves down our throats, and on the filthy air they belch in our faces, all to keep our bodies sickly and our minds slow. Right now, my only means of spreading the word of truth is through my interactions with others in the net, in my cyberspace messages of truth that hang over Manhattan like the great zeppelins of old, spreading the empty promises of advertising lies. For years, I've been spreading the message of TransTech's plans for conspiracy, but now I have proof.
Well, what is it?
When some poor wretch's identity has been dispersed in cyberspace, bits and pieces of that consciousness remain in the net, namely the Decker's distinguishing characteristics and skills. I think TransTech's managed to go so far as to devise a way to exploit the cyberdead. They found a way to attach these pieces to intact consciousnesses.
Man, to be able to do that, imagine how you could enhance your own mind.
And body. And imagine how TransTech is going to clean up these remnants of Decker's past and use them to conquer the masses. Ever think of that? Of TransTech building a race of superhumans with the intelligence and memory to gather and retain huge amounts of data, and with the strength to take it from others by force? It's only a matter of time before the Corp starts killing Deckers at will in the net for their skills. Now, some are saying that TransTech is manufacturing these pieces, but I don't believe it. I think they're being stolen from Deckers that don't make it. This could be the end of information freedom as we know it. Now, I've managed to hack my way into TransTech's notional labs. I've discovered records there of what they're calling the Morph Spawner program. The program that permits the absorption of the skills of the cyberlost. It must be destroyed. I need you to go in and get it.
Why don't you just deck in and get it yourself?
My God, I would never hook my brain up to the system like that. Do you realize that your mind is at the mercy of TransTech every time you put yourself through that virtual strip search? Mind you, I've hacked into more places than you'll ever know, but I refuse to deck. You want to risk it, I won't talk you out of it, because I need you to go in. I've got the code to the part of Notional Lab cyberspace that has it. If you value your safety in the net, you'll get it.
Yeah, I can see why we wouldn't want TransTech to have something like that. This sounds like what Tim Goldfarb was messing around with. Back to TTHQ, I guess. Just gotta get into the Notional Lab Laszlo told me about.
You from security. I sent for you over an hour ago.
Damn, must be the wrong time of the day. There are a couple things I can steal, but these two nerds aren't gonna let me look around any further. I guess I'll have to come back later. Since I have to kill some time, I may as well go collect the reward for killing the head of security.
We already heard you pulled the hit. Good work. Here's a 10 grand. Got an extra bonus for you too. If you want to get into TransTech Security cyberspace, well, the access code is HEAT.
Okay, before you get concerned, I told you that I wouldn't spoil any more cyberspace codes. And I didn't. What he just told you is wrong. What's worse is if you thought you missed it and try to go replay the conversation with the dialogue replay system using text only, it never shows up. Holy shit, BloodNet. This is a pretty glaring oversight. I went back and checked in DOSBox real quick. Your only chance to get the correct code from Fractal is when you talk to him after killing the head of security, but only if you have sound disabled. Oh, and make no mistake, this isn't the only time the game does this to you. Luckily, there are at least 2 places you can get this particular code, and you don't have to jump through the sound options hoop to get it. I'm pretty sure this is the first point in the game where I had to use a walkthrough. From here, we wander around the city a bit, turn in some side quests, and check in with a couple gangs, one of which leads to a back alley cyber parts shop. Cool, but we still don't have what we need to complete Elvis. I'm starting to wonder if I missed something. We've also got a big problem. Stark isn't just on the brink of undeath, he's on the brink of regular death, and we still have no way to heal him. Unfortunately, he doesn't share the immortality of real vampires, so bullets and lasers work just fine on him. Kind of like with Ludwig earlier in the game. Now, I haven't visited Renfield yet, so maybe he's got a hot tip on where I can get a coffin. This is not the music I was expecting. Not bad, though.
You made it. I couldn't wait for you to get here, Master.
You know, you're a strange guy, Renfield. What is all this junk?
Junk? Master, surely you're not speaking of my ant farm, my pride and joy. Look at these guys. How big and juicy. Terrific sprinkled on ice cream.
That's great, but what exactly are these things you said you can do for me?
Well, for one thing, I noticed you haven't exactly made arrangements for proper rest and healing.
You said it, pal.
Trust me on this. You're going to have to get your hands on a coffin fast, or you'll be feeling the effects in no time. I can help you out with that. I see you already have the dirt. Then you know you have to line the coffin with the native soil. And my apartment is the perfect place for it.
How do you know all this stuff?
People can't kick a narcotics problem. Maybe burning up on breathers.
I'm sorry, what the hell is going on? I didn't edit this in. This is what actually happens in the game.
He can isolate the precise structures causing the addiction and excise them from a person without harming other facets of the personality. I mean, psychologists only dream of that stuff. He can modify or temporarily dampen any aspect of a human personality. What a weapon he would make. Buy you an absinthe?
Oh, come on.
You come on.
Okay, so maybe you don't like me that much now. But just wait. I'm invaluable. You'll grow attached to me, and then you'll change your mind. This just feels like destiny, doesn't it? I think I was born to serve you. By all means, let's get started, Master. Do you want me to serve you?
Ugh, Renfield, you creep me out and I don't trust you one bit. Welcome aboard. Exploring the city a bit more, I meet up with a Sid and Nancy's. It's exactly what you think it is.
You look like bloody hell. Strung out? You can't walk the streets like that, man. Hey, look at me. I know you. We met a couple of months ago at the Freak Show Club. Remember? We partied. Hey, you said you were gonna call me. We were gonna meet and have a little private party of our own. What happened?
Well, I haven't exactly been myself lately.
Yeah, well, it's probably this lousy city. It's bad enough with the crowds and the crime and the pollution that gags you. But now people are talking about vampires, man. It's enough to really bring you down. Hey, you're right. You don't look like yourself. You want a little help? I got something that can at least make you look better.
Okay.
Here you go. It's Instapigment. I buy all kinds of crazy colors for fun, 'cause I never did go for tattoos. This one's a good shade for you. Looks better than that pasty blue stuff you got on now. Go ahead. I can see you want to get out of here. I'm sure you won't be calling me. What's one more promise broken, right? And what about your other promise, Stark? What about the farewell drugs?
This lady's an emotional roller coaster. Thanks for the makeup, though.
Man, you are really in my face. Get lost.
Yeah, okay. I'll leave as long as you promise never to talk to me or anyone else with that accent again. We end up at the Icon Robbers studio, which is basically an illegal TV station. That's actually pretty cool. I guess it's sort of like ham radio, but with wider potential reach, because this is the future.
We should have some leverage over these guys. If we tip the company to their location, they'll all be in the hoosegow.
Man, look at all this equipment. I could make a fortune off these parts out in the streets.
The reason we're here is because... Wait a minute. Something's not quite right. God damn it. I'm missing some footage. Yeah, that's right. After I finished up with sorting out my inventory after that first TransTech raid, I went and met up with the Kafka conspiracy, and before that, I took out the vampire hunters at the cemetery. Man, I'm sorry. That really bugs me. Still, thanks to the game giving us 20 save slots and some diligent backups, I can recreate some of those moments in DOSBox. Yeah, I could boot up the same machine I played through the game on, but I just don't feel like it for this. Come with me on a journey to the past, but in the future, because it's still 2094. Like I mentioned, I took out the people in the cemetery, so we've actually had a coffin for a while now, but there's a problem. The assholes consecrated the damn thing, so every time I try to line it with dirt, it burns Stark's hands. Really, our position hasn't changed. Sure, we have a coffin, but we don't have a usable coffin, so we still can't heal. I'm hanging on to it just in case we can unconsecrate it somehow. I don't know, maybe somebody can piss on it or something. After the cemetery, I met up with the Kafka gang.
As Whitman wrote, I speak the password primeval. I give the sign of democracy.
I already hate this man. Skipping ahead.
We eschew violence as a political weapon, because really, who would notice one more murder in this city? Language is our weapon.
What do you, talk them to death?
I look to Stevens, who says, we are the artificers of the world in which we sing. Information is power, and TransTech has power over information. Information depends on transmission, upon language. The conspiracy targets the company's means of transmission. Our methods are varied, but our finance is limited, and we need hardware. We need a multimedia transmitter. More precisely, we know where one is, and we need you to get it. There's a group of media pirates who call themselves the Icon Robbers. They have a headquarters on West 96th Street. If you're interested in an alliance, this can be a trial. See you prove yourself. They have a transmitter that we can use. Steal it and bring it here. You've heard my offer. Bring me that transmitter as a sign of good faith, and we can discuss helping each other further. One other thing. No violence. Leave the pirates living. Murder would give the heat another reason to come down on us. Someone will be watching you, so we'll know if you've resorted to violence.
Unfortunately, killing people and taking their stuff has kind of been my MO for the entire game so far, and jumping back to the present, I don't have any obvious way of taking out 4 people non-lethally. I guess we'll have to come back. Let's put that Instapigment to use instead. I feel pretty.
Hail, visitor! What brings you to the cloister's gate?
Word on the streets is that the Red Cross Knights are vampire killers. That puts us in the same line of work. I'm here to see your leader. Maybe we could pool our efforts. I see my source wasn't kidding when she called you fellows knights. You guys an SCA chapter in your spare time?
I ignore your insults. The protection of the Lord extends even to street scum such as yourself. You may enter. The protection of the Lord is yours.
This guy's great. Actually, this place is pretty important, and it has some of the best and worst dialogue in the game.
Man,
This city's suffering from all manner of lust and cruelty, slickly packaged and sold by the companies. Whatever you want, the real shit or mind-blowing simulations, you dial them up from cyberspace. All by yourself, too. Who needs to touch a friend when you can skim the matrix with a data angel? Why read a book when you can plug into a sim deck and live it?
You want to change, huh?
Have to change if we're going to keep up. When evil appears richer, slicker, and smarter than good, good had better upgrade its ass.
Remember, just as the Crusaders defended Christianity, we must fight this evil. There's no room for weakness. We must be strong, brave.
They say we're supposed to impale their hearts, but I do more than that. I toast them and rip their hearts out of their bodies and eat them. I live to hear those bastards suffer, and to see them die like the beasts they are.
You should protect yourself, too. Here, take this stake. You may just have to use it to drive through the heart of a vampire.
Wait, who the hell's talking? It's not the other guy in the room, and nobody in my party sounds like that.
Welcome, stranger. I hope it's good news that brings you, but I suspect it is not.
You got that right, Gawain. Aren't many places a guy with my kind of enemies can turn.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Is everyone in this game possessed or suffering from multiple personality disorder? Jeez, moving on.
If you grapple with the unholy, you would do well to visit Sir Sebastian. He is a seer, a mystic. Though blind, his vision is great due to his advanced psionic ability. Surely the hand of God has touched him. Though he cannot see your face, he can see into your heart and into your soul.
Given the circumstances, maybe I shouldn't see him.
Despite his age and infirmity, he is one of our most important members.
How useful is an old psionic against a vampire?
Without Sebastian, we would not have our most potent weapon against the vampires, the soul blades we each carry. Energy sabers bonded to and powered by our very souls, a lethal merging of quantum physics and metaphysics. Sebastian is the only one of our number able to perform the bonding ritual.
You telling me these blades are magic?
I prefer to think of it as spirituality. But surely a man with vampires for enemies cannot doubt the existence of the supernatural.
Man's got a point.
The soul blades will kill a vampire only if the blade is ritually bound to its owner and is effective only for that one owner, unless it is once again bound to a different knight.
This kind of makes me think of the Soul Knife Prestige class from 3rd edition D&D, which in turn always made me think of Raziel from Soul Reaver. Awesome. I've found a few stakes, but yeah, I want some of those soul blades. Guess I'll have to pay Sebastian a visit after all.
Where did you get these things? I've been around some, and I've yet to meet an arms dealer hawking soul blades.
Decades ago, Sebastian and a brother knight named Simon sealed themselves in the sub-basement of the cloisters for months, emerging only for food and to change clothes. When they were finished, they presented the arch-abbot with the prototype for the soul blade. But while they readily shared the basic technology with the order, they refused, to the great anger of the rector, to divulge the blade's other secrets. Sebastian is a great man. Go to him, but do not try to conceal anything from him. He will see through your efforts and become contemptuous.
Your mind reveals itself to me. Evil, hell-child, soul-damned intruder. Be gone from these chambers.
Stop, you're gonna hurt my feelings.
Your kind shall ever be our enemy. Yeah, pain and emptiness and wrath and indefatigable cruelty, indomitable hatred, unending blasphemy. Be gone! Be gone!
Yeah, that's pretty much how I thought that conversation would go. I did steal his prayer beads as a consolation prize, though. Maybe there's more wrong with me than just the vampire curse. In another section of the compound, we find Soranias, who's mourning the fate of one of his fellows.
I only pray they let him die, that they didn't make him one of them.
I sympathize. I'm not without some experience in these matters.
When a red cross falls, his chest plate must be returned here for enshrinement. Until I am able to regain Randall's breastplate, I am a disgrace to the Order. I'll not rest till that noble knight is honored.
We'll keep an eye out for any medieval armor, I guess. I do know where I can find a couple of vampires, and like I've mentioned, I have stakes now.
My, what a luscious specimen. A tasty one, aren't you? Oh, now, don't look at me so coyly. I see in your eyes that you need the feast as I do. You are no mortal man, but the tender meat on your bones is still living, still rosy and ripe. Look, you're making my mouth water, little beast.
It takes a few tries, but back in Central Park I managed to kill both vamps. No breastplate, though. Oh well, maybe that'll stop the attacks in Central Park for a while at least. I'm running out of leads again, so we wander aimlessly through the city for a bit and end up back at the museum. There's a new crowd here now. This could be promising.
We think the ancient world could teach the modern a few lessons. Look at the treasures in this museum. Texts say that our century's glories will be made in cyberspace. Yeah. 1,000 years from now, anybody gonna want to look at a FATS or a data cluster?
Who can figure taste?
Exactly. There's no way to know what's going to be in the public interest 1,000 or even 100 years from now. As an example, in the 90s, a lot of people threw away the boxes and promotional materials their video games came with. Nobody predicted that 30 years later, collectors would be paying a premium for complete copies, even if they aren't in perfect condition. Speaking of complete copies, I actually have 2 different releases of BloodNet. One is a double pack, but it's got a way better cover. Like this standalone one says, I'm a vampire. But this one is all, holy shit, I'm a fucking vampire! Anyway, in another 50 or so years after most of my generation dies off, things will probably swing back in the other direction. It's extremely likely that all games will be distributed digitally by then, with nary a cart or disc in sight. People who never grew up with physical games in the first place aren't going to care about having a game shelf or whatever. Then again, I could be totally mistaken. There's just no way to know for sure, which is why it's important to preserve what we can while we're still able.
Your inner sanctum, eh?
What makes you say that?
Your secret safe with Wyke, dear.
Oh, so Wyke is here. I've been wanting to track him down since we got that half amulet back in the Hellfire Club, since he's supposed to have the other half.
I recognize what you're trying to do with the pigments. Splendid job. I'd heard rumors that the inner sanctum had become a coven of psychotic vampires, but honey, you look the real thing.
Like you'd know.
Sweetheart, I've lived the real thing.
Sounds like a story the inner sanctum would enjoy hearing.
An old woman, Kate Olga Thistle, used to run a pill shop in the Bowery. But the real action was in the rear parlor where she stocked her shelves with obscure tinctures, ancient totems, and dusty, unlabeled bottles of dried leaves and powders. Some of us would go there regularly to learn the secrets of the ancients. Used to, that is, until the vampires got her.
Vampires? You're certain it was vampires?
Certain. Shop was fire-gutted and the cops never found her body, but we know it was vampires. Kate knew things about them, knew exactly what they were, knew how to summon them, and she knew how to kill them.
Damn, she sounds like someone who would have been helpful in the search for a cure. Just our luck.
So this is all rumor. You haven't actually seen a vampire.
I'm getting to that, dear. I need books. I collect books. The library still has within it old books that have never been digitized, books that reveal the ancient ways. Kate suggested that Brick and I scrounge there for an 18th century text on lycanthropy. It was on that hunt in the former public library that we encountered two women. Creatures, really. Vampires. They were the most sensible beings I'd ever met. We were bewitched, spellbound by their lure, their danger, by bodies that rippled and pulsed with erotic energy. They took us one at a time. Believe me, dear, I've copulated with all kinds of people, in all types of formations, but this, they drained my blood. I've got the scars to prove it.
This was at the library, you say? Well, I've been meaning to do some reading lately. Maybe I should check this out.
Proceed with caution, but if proceed you must, you could bring me a book, perhaps? A volume titled Mystics of Catalhuyuk, a treatise on prehistoric spiritualism. I'll pay $4,000 for the volume if you bring it to me here.
Wait, he just gave me his half of the amulet? But he didn't even say anything about it. This is confusing. I have to assume it's a bug, but whatever. We've got a full amulet now, I guess. Whether or not it actually does anything, who knows? The library sounds interesting, but I still haven't found what I need to complete Elvis, and I haven't found a way to deal with the icon robbers non-lethally either. Maybe I should check the shops again. Who knows, their inventory might change over time and... Hang on. What are these? No. I have been missing something the entire game! The fucking arrows on the back of the car to scroll through shop items. Ah, jeez. I entirely tuned them out. The arrows do kind of blend in, but I guess this one's on me. Well, I'm definitely going to need this holofilm even though I don't have a camera, and I should probably stock up on Instapigment since it only lasts for 24 hours. There are a ton of items for sale around the city that I wish I'd had earlier. A med kit, parts to make better armor, drugs people keep asking me for, some electronic lockpicks which I've been looking for ages, or at least looking for the parts to make some. It's like a whole new world has opened up. One of the vendors even has the last cyber limb I need for Elvis. Turns out this 12-year-old kid's pretty good at putting stuff together, including fully functioning cyborg bodies. I guess that shantytown in Central Park has a pretty good education system. Oh, I only have 5 people at this point because I had to ditch someone to finish a side quest. Sorry, Renfield. It's worth noting that some party members go back to where you found them after being dismissed, while others don't. Even if you do find them again, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll join back up with you. These people have feelings, you know. It's alive! Yeah, Elvis wasn't kidding about being a badass fighter. He's slow, but some of his stats and skills are off the charts. Plus, you can upgrade his limbs like anyone else for more boosts, and he still heals normally like anyone else. Which means you don't have to worry about some kind of special inconvenient repair system to get him back into fighting condition. Good. Having to worry about Stark's coffin is bad enough. A problem I still haven't solved yet, by the way, and I'm probably like 10 hours into the game by now. At this point, I'm out of ideas, so I turned back to the walkthrough. Remember several, possibly even tens of minutes ago when I told you that finding Ludwig's lab was a big deal? How the coveralls were potentially one of the most important items in the game? Look at them again. They aren't armor like the Kevlar coveralls you can find. They're a uniform for a museum. See, when I tried to take the sarcophagus before, I didn't have them on, so the security guard naturally attacked me. I didn't want to kill her because I didn't know what the long-term repercussions might be. But if you put the coveralls on first and then try to take the sarcophagus, ta-da! One perfectly suitable vampire coffin that's just missing some local dirt. I could have had this hours ago and saved so much time babysitting Stark in combat. I don't want to talk about it. For the first time in the game, I can finally heal Stark. Hopefully Renfield isn't too upset about me kicking him out of the party and then crashing at his place. A bit before I got the sarcophagus, I used my new lockpicks to get into this room in Transtech's nanotech lab, which has the fiber optic cable I've been looking for, as well as the decking unit for Hakim. Unfortunately, Hakim has another condition before he'll come along.
So now I have a Praxis 3000, but I still only work with Cisco. You want me, he comes along too. Bring Cisco here, and you have us both.
Fine. On the way, I decided to check out the library.
Ooh, Shada, a bug in our web. Kill it, Shada. Kill it!
I say we love it, Necra. Take it in our arms and legs and squeeze it. And kiss it. And nibble and nibble.
Big bites, Shada.
This goes on-y-wani for what feels like hours. Spoilers, they don't give us the sex like Wake and his buddy. But they don't try to kill us either. That's good because we've got a big problem. See, when you kill a vampire, the stake disappears. I guess it just explodes or disintegrates into the ether? Either way, I didn't bring enough for everybody. There's also someone else to talk to here.
I will rape you.
I'm sorry, come again?
I will rape you.
Oh, no. No. I touched on the graphics earlier, but let's talk about them a bit more. Overall, I think the game hasn't aged all that well visually. The overworld map does look good, but I'm really not in love with the character sprites. I'm not sure, but I think they might be super low-resolution digitized photos, which means they're basically FMV sprites. FMV is an in-game aesthetic that I just can't get behind at the best of times, though I'll allow it for cinematics like in Realms of the Haunting and other games of the era. The character portraits are often at least interesting, though they seem a little inconsistent. Some look like digitized photos to me, maybe with a piece of cyber gear painted on, while others look more like fully hand-drawn art. It's a weird mix. The 2D pre-rendered backgrounds are fine for the time. Usually they're nothing amazing, but there are a few that stand out, like Strawberry Fields with the heads on spikes, and Café Voltaire with the almost, Salvador Dali-style clock stage. The hand-drawn scenes are where the graphics really shine in BloodNet, but sadly those are pretty much limited to the beginning and end of the game. As far as the sound goes, the overall sound design is pretty bland. There really aren't many sound effects at all, though I do love the sound of staking a vamp. There really isn't much music either. A lot of it is more like ambience than something melodic. Sometimes the music really adds to the mood though, like in the hospital. Okay, hopefully this was enough of a palate cleanser for you because we gotta go back to the library and talk to Granny. When she's not being a horny creeper, she actually has some important stuff to say. If you've gotten to this point in the video and you've somehow just in this moment decided that you must try this game out for yourself, but you're worried about spoilers for the endgame story, you can feel free to skip ahead to here. Alright, here we go.
You summoned Kate Ogathistle. Well, now you got her.
You're Olga Thistle? Aren't you supposed to be dead?
I'm over all that now. Why did you summon me?
I didn't plan on summoning anybody. I thought Gibbon was conning me about this amulet.
Wyke is a pup. He knows shit. The amulet is a totem. A repository for mystic energies. When half of it was stolen several months ago, I forged a link between myself and the remaining half of the amulet. And I gave that half to Wyke Gibbon,
The circle of anachronists and occultists is small. Sooner or later, the two halves would be one, and I would discover my thief and chew on his arteries. Ugh, I don't like thieves.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense because we got Wyke's half with no explanation when the game apparently bugged out after talking to him. But I guess the amulet has some kind of mystic powers after all.
I didn't steal either half of this. There's no reason for us to fight. I'm a vampire, trapped like you. Maybe we can help one another, restore our humanity before it's too late.
You stupid meat. Stupid! Stupid! I embrace what they've made me. I knew of the vampires, and with deceits arcane, wooed two neophytes to my shop, and demanded they bring me the lord of their order. And when he came, I begged Van Helsing to take me. I demanded. I threatened to expose him, to work against him unless he killed me and rebirthed me. He sympathized with my lust. He knew. He'd done it himself. So many lonely years fighting undying foes. And no matter how famous his victories, no matter how feared he grew among his enemies, they only had to wait for him to die. Easy for a young one like you to be a scoffer. But Van Helsing contemplated death and grew weak in his chest. He made his choice, as I have made mine.
I can't falter logic, and it turns out that this is the Van Helsing from the book. Except I guess he either killed the Dracula and then later had another vampire turn him, or Dracula was never defeated at all and for some reason agreed to make Van Helsing a vampire. I'm not sure why any vampire would bother to turn Van Helsing instead of straight up murdering him, but whatever, we'll go with it. Since Van Helsing seems to have switched sides, maybe I could have fully trusted Renfield after all. But it's too late to find out in this playthrough. I still don't have enough stakes though, so we'll have to come back later to fully finish this encounter. Consider this a glimpse into the future. Honestly, I'm running into a dead end again. I did return to the Notional Labs at Transtech to steal the morph spawner a while back, and I also tracked down the morph codes that Goldfarb used and got messed up on. Turns out there's a virus in the well they were stored in, but I've got a handy antivirus program that I picked up from somewhere, which takes care of that. Being the enterprising player that I am, I used the codes to boost a few of Stark's stats to 99. Nothing major, but it can hurt. Or can it? I noticed after using the codes that my faith stat went all the way down to 1. Supposedly, faith helps to kill vampires. You can aim for the heart, but you have to believe in yourself at the same time. Now, I'm not 100% sure this was from the morph codes because I hadn't really been paying attention to my stats. At the time, I decided we better not use the codes on anyone else in case they are responsible for hurting our faith stat. However, looking through the footage, I noticed that my faith started at 18 and has dropped over the course of the playthrough. I'm not sure what caused the change, but if I had to guess, I'd say it probably has something to do with chomping on people. Oh well. Over at the Abyss, I pick up Cisco.
I got that call from Hakim. I guess I'm coming out of retirement then. Hakim, I have faith, brother. Hope you don't get us killed.
I guess at this point, I'm going to replace the fizzes. They've done enough.
Just lay off the beer long enough to finish the mission, Alvarez. I'll be watching you.
Back to Hakim.
All right, you have Cisco. He and I make a great team. Should I join you?
From time to time, I've been finding pieces of Charlie Flyer's identity around cyberspace. With Hakim in the group, I figure maybe I can put them back together.
These are all potential customers, Stark. These unlucky vegetables are going to make me rich.
Why don't you stay away from us? Just leave us alone.
Huh, I guess I must be missing some of him. Nothing good is happening. I'm stumped on what to do next. Time to consult a walkthrough again. Let's see here. So I need to get something called Somna Vapor and a gas mask to knock out the icon robbers, which will let me take their stuff. Well, I have a gas mask, but where in the hell is the Somna Vapor? Let's see here. We can get some from Free Thought? No. No! You have to be fucking joking. I talked to her at the beginning of the game, and all she would do is bitch about Garrick joining up with me.
Garrick, what the hell are you doing with this guy? We hired you to do a job.
I have to go back and test this.
Ah, a real freak. Then maybe you can help me. Ever get your hands on any top-level soul boxes? I've been looking for one. If you're interested, I've got an offer. You get me the soul box so that I can ride the dragon, and I'll give you a freaky way to get rid of trans-tech pigs. Deal? Great! I've got a powerful sleeping gas that will knock out a room full of people. Could come in handy for a guy like you. Bring me the soul box.
Oh my god. If you pick up Garrick before talking to Free Thought, you may never see this dialogue. Unbelievable. This is an old school game design trap if I've ever seen one. I mean, I guess I could technically just murder the icon robbers, but then what am I missing from the Kafka conspiracy? Fine, take the goddamn soul box, give me the gas, go to the icon robbers, Dodger put this mask on, knock the assholes out, take their stuff, oh, a video camera, go to Hellfire Club, use camera on McAllister, give film to Bill Dugan, ruining that asshole McAllister's career, church saved, fuck me. I solved the puzzle in the cloisters, which gave me access to the Red Cross Knight's armory, so I have more stakes now. I've been able to go back to Van Helsing's penthouse since the very beginning of the game. I wonder what's in there.
Will you come let me make a meal of you?
Yeah, it's vampires. There's not much here, but upstairs we have a couple interesting items. Some kind of signal scrambler, and aha! A Red Cross Knight breastplate. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it ended up here. I'll bring this back to the cloisters later. Unfortunately, killing the vampires in the penthouse means I'm once again too short on stakes for the library. The soul blades sound like promising vampire killing weapons, but to get one of those working I need Sebastian's help, but he can see right through me. After the Free Thought incident, I'm not shy about consulting a walkthrough. As it turns out, stealing Sebastian's prayer beads was the right move. See, I played through this game over the course of a couple months and didn't really take many notes. That's not how you want to play BloodNet. Some of the wandering around and lack of direction is because I just straight up forgot about things, and some of it is because the game screwed me. In this case, I didn't really understand what Cyril Thorpe was telling me the first time I met him in the net. What I need to do is put the prayer beads next to him in Café Voltaire, and then meet him again in C-Space.
I sense evil. I can't erase it for you, but I can stifle it temporarily. Perhaps that will help. Focus, Iris. Stop before you have that cigarette. I can dampen what I sense is not good in you, Stark. Keep in mind, I can only hold onto it for so long. Do you want me to put a damper on the evil? Now, let me concentrate. I'll hold it. I have it. It's running through me. Need blood. Thirst for blood. Go. Do what you gotta do, Stark. The vulgar walk with a profane flush on their skin. Leave. I have stifled it. And evil this great is requiring a great deal of my psionic energy. Flesh. Just meat on bones. Want to drink all of it. All are my prey. Go. It is done.
Yikes. Maybe we shouldn't have let the psionic superdecker tangle with the vamp curse after all. Let's go get those soul blades. I picked up a few in the cloister's armory earlier, but like I said, they're useless until they're blessed.
Come to me, troubled one. I sense in you an heroic but troubled heart. Your mind resists the evil of these times. I sense in you troubled nobility and stillborn decency, precious gifts in a world that demands hard tempers and wicked manners. How can I aid you, lonely seeker? Let those who stand for bonding attend. Do you swear to the Jehovah, to the God of Moses, the God of Abraham, the God of Calvary, that you will wield this blade only in the name of the holy and against the enemies of the Lord's true church? And do you ask the Lord for his grace that your faith in him might grow?
We do.
Do you recognize the cross?
Yeah. Now pronounce me man and knife.
Ah! It is done. May the Lord protect you in your battles.
Now we're cooking with magic. While characters will tell you the soul blades will only work for one user, that's a feature that was apparently never implemented. However, they do have one quirk. If you drop one on the ground, it'll revert back to a normal soul blade, and you'll have to go get it reconsecrated, which can be annoying, especially when you switch party members and the outgoing character dumps everything they have on the floor. Now then, we have some unfinished business at our local library.
I will wait.
The nice thing about soul blades is that, unlike stakes, they don't disappear after use. Supposedly, they make it easier to kill vampires somehow. I guess maybe that translates into a better chance to hit or something. I don't know, it's never explained. Back at the museum, we give Wyke his book.
Mystics of Ketelhuyuk, right?
You've done it. And you don't look much worse for the experience, dear. You're made of sterner stuff than I. Here is the money I promised. Take this, too. It's half of an amulet that dates to ancient Sheba. Kate said the other half was stolen from her. Put the two together and she claims it will summon a member of the undead, although she didn't say who. I've had my fill of vampires, but you seem interested.
Ah, so this is when we were supposed to get the other half of the amulet. The explanation clears some things up as well. I'm still not sure if the amulet has any purpose at this point, or if it only existed to lead us to Olga Thistle's story about Van Helsing. We'll hang on to it. You know, I never found that database for the Black Agates. I wonder if Van Helsing ever came through for him. Nobody's come after me, except for when I'm at Transtech.
Man, are you a stupid son of a bitch to be flashing your face here? Van Helsing showed, and he made good on the Ribbits database. He gave us a picture of our target. Guess who it is, shit for brains.
Well, that answers that. I do wonder about that database, but I'm sure it'll come up. According to the walkthrough, the next thing I need to do is jump into C-Space.
Stark, at last I found you. You remember my voice?
Abraham's daughter, right? Melissa?
I thought you would remember me.
You're decked into the net?
I watched cyberspace be constructed. I know many of its secrets.
That delay isn't me, it's the PC.
What do you want? Do you want me dead? Do you want to make me your father's slave?
Like you, I work to end my father's evil. I'm taking a great risk contacting you. But we must not talk here. Too many people could be listening in. Meet me at the food and we can discuss this further.
I'm not aware we're discussing anything.
I'm proposing an alliance, Stark. Your force and mine. Together, we can succeed. Where alone we would die.
And I'm supposed to trust you. If I show up at this restaurant, you won't be waiting with your father and a dozen other vampires?
I selected the food for a reason.
Good enough for me. Let's go.
Sorry, we don't have a table available for you, sir. We don't allow street trash in here.
10 seconds later.
$50 will get you to your table. Agreed, sir? Thank you, sir. Enjoy your dinner, and mind you keep your voice down in here.
Hey, it's McAllister. Wait, does he work here?
Care for something from the bar, sir?
Just bring over the dessert cart, boy. How about serving up a nice big slice of humble pie?
You! How dare you show your face to me after ruining my life? A Trans-Tech career shot to hell because of you. And you're holier than thou Bible beaters.
Careful. Keep your voice down. You might get busted from waiter to busboy.
I swear to God, I'll rip your heart out right here at table 7.
Before you do, I think the lady here cares for some fresh ground pepper on her salad.
You're a dead man, Stark.
I don't know. I find the cuisine here to be a little rude. I'm not leaving a tip. Everybody just gonna continue about their day like nothing happened? Apparently, yes.
You came. I knew you would.
Can't promise you I'm staying, so you better make your pitch fast. Make one false move and I'll kill you.
Yes, I believe you might. But I promise no fast moves, and I've already made my offer. Let me join with you against my father. I know many things about him, things that could help us defeat him. For example, there is a man named Alexander Tennant who knows many of my father's secrets, things even I do not know. Tennant grows dissatisfied with my father. If we approach him together, he may help us. He is a member of the Hellfire Club Inner Sanctum. If we can gain access to the club, we can speak to him there. You see? Together we would be formidable. Together we would be 2 vampires against 1.
What's in it for you? Why kill your father? Unhappy childhood?
Haven't you ever wondered how I became a vampire? Hadn't it occurred to you that my father had to have done this to me? He came to me while I slept. I was awakened by his lifting the covers and sliding next to me. I was confused and horrified as he put his arms around me and pulled himself on top of me. He made me an immortal, a vampire.
That was a long time ago. You're just now getting pissed about it?
You don't understand. When I awoke as a vampire, I was frightened and alone. I needed my father despite what he had done to me. And he needed me long after I had stopped needing him.
He forced you?
He has held me in his service for what has seemed like endless decades. Until now. Together we can bring my father down and face the night no longer alone. I want to be free of my father, Ransom, and you're the one who can free me.
Why me? Surely there have been others.
None like you. None who have been strong enough to resist his will. None who have been able to resist my will and hold my interest for long. 200 years is a long time, Ransom, and a woman gets lonely. That is my deal. Simple and no fast moves, as you put it. Will you have me join you?
While it's true that Van Helsing catfished me with his daughter once, he'd need to have some pretty big brass balls to try that move twice on the same guy.
Come then, let's take back the night.
And yeah, Melissa's a vampire with some pretty awesome stats. I've talked to this Tennant guy she mentioned once before. Maybe he'll have more to say now.
Ms. Van Helsing, you get around. Here on your father's membership, I assume?
I'm here with Mr. Stark, Alex, and he is no friend of my father's. He finds Daddy's manner too biting, and he wants to do something about it.
You bring me one of Abraham's victims, Melissa?
Couldn't balance the audio for this part, eh guys?
You bring me one of Abraham's victims, Melissa? I suppose he is angry over what Van Helsing has done to him, and suspects that his anger makes him Van Helsing's match. Ha ha! Your father will burn him to cinders.
I thought you said this guy was on our side, Melissa. I got enough people in this city giving me trouble. I don't need it from somebody playing vampire.
He opposes my father and lives, Alex. Ransom Stark has proven himself a serious opponent of my father's plot to control cyberspace. Stark is the only person who can keep Incubus from my father. Think about it, Alex. If my father gets Incubus, there will be nothing you can do to protect yourself from him. You will be begging him to kill you, and he'll refuse.
Very well, my dear. If you have joined your fate with his, I can at least cooperate. To a point.
Start talking, pal. Who are you and what have you got on Van Helsing? You know what I am, you know what I can do to you.
I deal with the vampire lord himself. You are a mere nuisance. Don't attempt to frighten me.
You serve Van Helsing?
Even a vampire lord requires human agents. He has lived for over 200 years and has amassed a vast fortune, one that must be managed constantly. In short, I am that demon's banker. God help my soul.
You willingly help him?
I have served humans no less monstrous, and I profit handsomely from our dealings. I don't deceive myself, though. I know he'll sever our contracts the moment he believes I'm no longer useful, and at that moment my life will be at risk. I have, however, taken precautions to protect myself.
I've grunted for some disreps. Hell, I've even contracted with TransTech. But Van Helsing is the devil himself.
I warn you, few of his enemies live long. As vampire, he is master of men. As a corporate officer of TransTech, he is master of cyberspace. Still, he is vulnerable, I suspect. He spends a great sum of money protecting certain buildings he owns in the city.
Tell me, where?
You take risks, don't you, Nightling? You want Van Helsing. Learn the answer to this tired old joke. Just who is buried in Grant's tomb?
Okay, off to Grant's tomb then. The entrance has been bricked up, but we have a way inside. I'll let you figure out how to get in on your own. Further in... Oh no, it's Van Helsing!
You have dared much, Stark, but it ends here. It ends now.
Hi, Daddy. Sorry, Ransom. I love you, but a girl's got to do what her father wants. And he wants you dead.
I can't believe it. He actually fooled me with the same trick twice. This fight is no joke. I tried to beat it a bunch of times, but it just wasn't working. Since Melissa joins Van Helsing, you're not just down a party member, she joins the fight as well, so they're up an enemy. However, I have an idea. If the vamps don't want to play fair, neither will I.
By the blessed Trinity, you have Randall's breastplate. Then, that means he is at peace with God. And I can be at peace, knowing my beloved comrade rests with dignity. I owe you much, Stark. And though you have yet to reveal your secrets, I am at your service should you have need of a Red Cross. Will you have me that I might repay the debt I owe you?
Hit the bricks, Melissa. It's time we got an honest-to-God knight on the team.
I am yours, then, and let your enemies beware.
This time, Van Helsing and his thugs go down with barely a whimper. And that's it! Van Helsing is dead! We won! Well, I guess not. There's no ending credits. And we're still a vampire. Inside the tomb, we find some kind of green pendant. It must be important because it's the only colored item in the entire game as far as I know. I guess we're done here. Wait. There's a guy up on the wall there. Oh man, I almost missed him. In fact, I did miss him. I wandered around for at least an hour trying to figure out what to do, and I didn't realize there was a body strung up on the wall that I could interact with until I came back to the game days later. He blends right into the background, and there's no real indication that you can do anything with him.
You made it through. Help me. Get me down from here.
I can try, but I'm not really sure how to do that. After some fumbling around, I managed to figure it out. It's hard to see because it also blends into the background, but there's an electronic keypad on the wall by the skeleton. If you use your lockpicks in the room,
Thank you. The pain was crippling. He must be stopped. He is completely mad.
Easy, you're safe now. He can't hurt you anymore.
No. Oh, no. Do you see his body here? Does his blood stain the floor? Did your stake pierce his heart?
You're saying he's still alive?
He's still at large. He has a fail-safe condition on his own life. I was coy with you in the Hellfire Club. Didn't tell you everything. Somehow he knew you had been at the club. Forced me to reveal what I told you. To kill him, you must room 1122 in Trans Technicals. It's important to him. He expends enormous amounts of his own money securing whatever is in there. I think it is essential to his survival.
Aha, so Van Helsing isn't dead quite yet. Fair enough. Let's go finish the job. Here we go. Room 1122.
The beast's heart. He stores it in that incubation chest to the right. We must destroy it.
That clever bastard. He somehow linked his life essence to that heart. That's got to be our target, but we're going to have to blast these guys to get it.
Van Helsing is here, and he ain't happy.
You almost killed me. You hurt me. No one has hurt me in over 200 years, Stark. You will pay for that. I'll rip your arteries out one at a time. I'll strip your blood from your gutted torso.
This is actually a really tough fight. The guards in here have solid armor as well as some powerful bioweapons that can paralyze or straight up kill characters if you're unlucky. Plus, Van Helsing is still a vampire. I died a bunch of times trying to get through this one without any of my team dying, but eventually, everything fell into place. Van Helsing's really dead this time. But the game still isn't over. Remember, our only real goal this entire game has been, don't turn into a vampire. Van Helsing was just in the way. Hanging out in the room after the battle is another familiar name from Bram Stoker's book.
You killed him! You did it! Do you know how long I've waited to be free of him? Now it's my turn to help you. You must go into cyberspace immediately to exorcise the vampire curse. You'll be able to deck safely from here. No one ever enters this room except those beasts you killed and me, to monitor that heart.
You'll need a priest to exorcise the vampiric evil from you. You'll also need the ultimate icebreaker, the only way to eliminate the evil from your data, Angel. Come back when you're prepared, and I'll give you the code to a safe place in the net where the exorcism can take place.
Damn, so we need a double exorcism. Both of the soul and the, digital soul, I guess. You could be forgiven for almost forgetting about Incubus at this point, but it turns out to be important after all. There were a few loose ends that I never got around to tying up, but I wanted to at least finish the Charlie Flyer quest. He's the whole reason I've been dragging Hakeem around with me in the first place. According to the walkthrough, the last piece of his identity I need is in the data cluster Shak Marad told me about. You remember him, don't you?
We're waiting on a guy right now. A rich guy named Van Helsing promising us a proprietary database from Rimbus drugs. We can synthesize a week's worth of partying with the information in that database.
Well, guess what? They did it again. If you listen to the voiceover, you'll never get the address you need. God damn it, BloodNet. I wish I could say I'm surprised, but at this point, I'm not. If you switch to text, there it is. One data cluster address ready to go. I deck into C-Space, grab it, and put old Charlie back together.
This is the test case I've been looking for.
Wait, I thought you knew what you were doing.
Catch my voodoo, Stark.
Oh, he's got voodoo. Okay, we're fine here.
Merge the 5 files into one and download them into this guy's vacant brain. Well, if I've done my job well, this guy should...
Get me some aspirin, a glass of asparagus juice, and a chocolate bar.
I don't believe this. It worked. Hakeem, you dog, you did it.
I don't know what he did, but except for this headache and a sugar low, I feel fine. How long was I out?
Your wife says you've been in a coma for 8 months. You were cyber lost, but we managed to recollect your files. Hakeem's the ace here. He's the one who recompiled the files and made you you again. You sure you're okay?
I feel terrific. I mean, not just physically, but mentally. For a guy who's been in a coma, I feel sharp. You know, maybe that recompiler not only remade me, but tightened up the loose ends a little.
What happened? Soulbox give out on you?
Shouldn't have. I mean, I was panning for gold in a universal computation stream I'd slipped into. I was submerged deep as it gets, inside a constant flow of information, gigabytes of scientific research data, corporate finances, personal information on everyone in Manhattan, phone records, bank transactions, consumer purchases, an unrelenting, beautiful swirl of facts. I stayed longer than I should have, but I've done that before and never been damaged.
So what was different about this time?
Something hit me. Something from the net. Something that lashed out at me from within the data stream.
What? What was it?
I don't know. Something evil. Something ruthless and cold. Cold as death. I know it's inaccurate to describe something in cyberspace that way, but that's all I felt before I went disper. Just stone cold emptiness. Listen, if you are scoping this thing out, you gotta let me come with you. I have to know what it was. Besides, I owe you my life. Ice it, Ellen. I'll be fine.
Holy shit, man. Your wife has been sitting by your side for 8 months while you've been comatose, drains her bank account to keep your sorry ass alive. You just wake up and you're telling her to ice it? She needs a divorce. This isn't a healthy relationship. Though it's none of my business, I guess. Welcome to the group, Charlie. You kind of missed the whole game, though. I figure I might as well hand over the morph spawner to Laszlo, too, now that I'm pretty certain I don't need it for anything.
You've done a great thing, Stark. The morph spawner will be destroyed. Transtech's grip on us isn't quite as tight. At least for now.
I figure that's enough good deeds for one playthrough. At this point, I know I'm all set with the exorcism situation. Mother Mary owes me one for saving the church, but I still don't have Incubus. I do have a clue, though, from back when I re-recorded the initial Kafka conspiracy conversations in DOSBox.
Peace, brother. Sit. Relax. Shall I tell you that tale told in cyber circles of late? There is talk of one who took others under her wing. A special group formed. When their work led them to a great and powerful secret, all were put in danger. It is rumored that, to protect the secret, the children went on the great journey, beyond the rainbow, into the dimension of cyberspace, so that they could safely guard their mentor's secret. To do so, they had to relinquish all existence in the physical world.
How many were there?
The story tells us that there were 5. One was left behind purposely to watch the others disappear into the net and destroy their remains. How sad that these children's love for this woman was so great that they would make the ultimate sacrifice for her. She had given them a home and a life, and the only gift they could give her was to leave her. And how truly sad I am for the one left behind. He waits for you, Stark. Go to him. He is no anarchist. He's just a boy.
I think it's time to go pay Chuck another visit.
You here to give me that trans-tech list of Deirdre's associates? Okay, you are on the list. And I have heard Deirdre talk about you sometimes. She ever tell you about me?
I heard about the sacrifice the lost kids made.
Well, I'm the only one left. I sure do miss all of them. And Deirdre, too. I left Topeka with my mother and came to New York when I was 8. When my mom died a year later, I just roamed the streets. Deirdre saved me, gave me a home, taught me about the net. She did the same for the other kids, Sally, Lou, Pat, and Violet. Now they've all gone into the net to protect Incubus.
I know. And I also know that Van Helsing's after it. She told you about Van Helsing, didn't she?
Yeah. She wanted to make sure there was no way he could get Incubus, and no way he could get it out of me. She never wanted the other kids to take Incubus and deck into the net permanently. But after it was done, she said she might as well make it work. She fixed me not to tell, a neural microimplant. Now I can't remember the access code to the lost kids well, even though I programmed it. These guys here have held me hostage here for so long, beat the crap out of me, and stuck me with truth serums, but nothing works.
Sounds like she did her job well. How do we get to Incubus then?
I don't know. But somehow, I think Deirdre planned for it to happen this way. All I know is, the last time I saw her, she was wearing something strange. A pendant. A big emerald that looked like a fake. Deirdre never wore stuff like that. That's why I think it means something. We've got to get our hands on it somehow. And we better get out of here fast before these guys beat me up again.
Well, that's a start. I had the pendant he mentioned, but it's not at all clear what I'm supposed to do with it. Well, some of you probably could have figured it out pretty easily, but I had to look it up. But first, we're going to make a pit stop at the church to pick up our holy woman.
Are you ready for me?
Let's go, Mother Mary. Strap on this combat gear and laser pistol. We got work to do.
Pleasure to have your help, ma'am.
Don't none of you guys give Mother Mary an hard time. She's helped a lot of us in Central Park when nobody else would.
Okay, now about that pendant. Turns out that I needed to use a button that's been in front of me the entire game. Except it's also a button that I never had any reason to use, so I completely forgot about it. Jury rigging lets you not only assemble items, but disassemble them as well. Of course, that makes sense if you read the description. I just completely spaced on disassembly. Aha! A special chip for my decking unit. Let's see what secrets it reveals.
My dearest Chuck, I programmed the Emerald microchip with this cyber vision when I learned of the great sacrifice made by you and the other lost kids. I truly did not want that to happen, but they made a choice, and now that they have, New York is still safe. As for you, Chuck, you are truly a brave young man. I know you've been through so much. That's why I installed the Neuro Micro Implant. It prevented you from remembering the password you programmed into the lost kids' well. I know that being away from them has troubled you, but it was the safest way to prevent Incubus from falling into the wrong hands. As long as they had done what they did, I wanted to make sure they weren't discovered by the wrong people. If you managed to find the Emerald Pendant then, undoubtedly, Ransom Stark has been with you to help you battle Van Helsing. It's all working as I had hoped. Now, you and Stark must complete the job. I appear before you so that you may now get Incubus.
Tackett gives us a hint to figure out the address to the well that contains Incubus. And then it's time for farewells.
Deirdre, wait. I miss you. I need to talk with you about...
You don't need my help any longer, Chuck. I need yours. My only wish now is that I may live long enough to see Van Helsing's evil destroyed. Goodbye.
Using the hint, we make it to the well where the lost kids are waiting. Their leader hands over the program.
I've been waiting for you. Deirdre told us to expect Stark, and she was right.
Sally, I missed you and everybody. It stinks being back there without you. I know Deirdre didn't want you to do this. That's why we did it on our own. I know how important Incubus is. Deirdre had told me how she wrote the code. We all knew that if Incubus fell into the wrong hands, all of New York would be enslaved. We did what had to be done. My only regret is the years I'll miss working with Deirdre. She taught me so many things, and there was so much more I wanted to do before I turned 14. The other lost kids insisted on coming with me, even though I tried to make them stay. I hope they aren't having regrets. I feel bad for little Pat. He seems so lonely and scared. Violet misses home, and Lou's just busting to get out of here. But I think we'll be okay in here. There's lots to be done in the net. It'll be quite an adventure. Well, Stark, here it is. Incubus, the program that reigns above all others, the Omnipotence Code. The Decker who uses it can truly be called Master of the Matrix. Like most instruments of power, it can be used for good or evil. Use it to cast the final blow against Van Helsing. Save Deirdre before time runs out. I'll be back to visit, I promise, Sally. You guys saved New York, but it hasn't been the same without you since you left.
I have so many questions about Incubus, about... Goodbye, Chuck. Goodbye, Stark. We've done what we can here. You're the only one who can finally destroy Van Helsing's evil. Go, make Deirdre proud.
Some of the kids are taking becoming digital immortals better than others.
You got what you needed from us? What do you want with me now? I'm just a kid who's stuck in the net now. Please, go save my friend Deirdre.
Yeah, we should get on that. After all this time, I forgot that the game might have some kind of time limit, not just on Stark's life, but on Tackett's as well. After all, it counts the days while you're playing. For all I know, Deirdre Tackett might be dead already because I took too long. We need to get back to Transtech HQ pronto to put this curse to an end. Tackett wasn't there when we killed Van Helsing, but maybe Incubus can lead us to her somehow. Only one way to find out.
I'm glad you're back. Your time is running out. You have the power to end this evil. I have spent most of my years guarding access to one of the deepest levels in cyberspace. I now have the freedom to give you the address. Go there to have this vampiric evil purged from your soul.
Harker gives us an address to one of the deepest places hidden away in the net.
Thank you. You've made it possible for me to end this nightmare.
I've been enslaved to the vampire lord longer than I care to remember, as were my ancestors before me. I've dreamed of being a free man. That's why I'm helping you now. Now, only you can do what has to be done. God be with you.
Time to jump into cyberspace. One last time. Would you look at that? It's a virtual Dracula. Actually, that wing to cape animation was pretty smooth.
Incubus, give me a hand here.
That is not within the parameters of my programming. Dracula.mf comprises a sentient entity. I am not enabled for interdiction into such entities. I can, however, give you a fighting chance by providing you with powers comparable to Dracula's. He is extracting from your mind images of people you know and is turning them into your enemies. As he creates enemies, I can enable you to create virtual weapons to fight him by drawing upon the information about weapons that you store in your memory files. For each opponent, you can select weapons from your experience with which to fight him. I will present you with choices. You need only select.
It's your fine friend Lash. Come to burn y'all to a crisp, old buddy.
Well, I wasn't expecting this. We've got ourselves a sort of almost good old-fashioned boss rush type scenario. Incubus isn't kidding either. It gives you access to any weapon or armor in the game, so now's your chance to prove your knowledge of the game's mechanics. Which is a problem because the game's mechanics are kind of obfuscated.
I love you, Ransom. I want you. Badly. Want you close to me. Want your broken body at my feet, and a stake driven through your chest.
One by one, virtual friends, acquaintances, and enemies bite the dust. It's not easy, you can't heal, and if you die, you have to start over, though the game does show some mercy and lets you save halfway through.
Unholy beast, you die now.
I'm not sure if the enemies you face change depending on how you've played the game up until this point. The out-of-combat music here is fun too. Very intrepid. Here it is, the final battle with the net's ultimate evil. Virtual Dracula himself, ascended from a mortal vampire to a mortal digital vampire. Not sure why he sounds just like Van Helsing though.
Enough! Never in 7 centuries have I encountered such opposition. You are a fool to fight me here, Stark. Here I am all powerful, and I will fry your brain.
Let's see just how tough you are, Drac. Here's my entire fight, unedited, no reloads. boom, Drac goes down. What a punk. Oh well. Anyway, time for the ending. Dracula deleted. And we freed Tackett. Somehow. Plus, the exorcism looks like it's gonna be a success. All's well that ends well. But wait, what's this? And that's it. That's BloodNet. This game leaves me with such mixed opinions. On the one hand, I enjoy the atmosphere, but the gameplay is so clunky. And don't get me started on the issues with the bugs and voiceovers missing critical information. Maybe I'll go back and play the floppy version one of these days to see if it's any less confusing. The few side quests in BloodNet are a mixed bag. The interesting ones that feel like they should lead to something important often just fizzle out or come to an abrupt dead end. It's kinda disappointing. Even Cyber Elvis was a bit of a letdown. Sure, he's strong, and the initial encounter in the net was cool, but he never said a word for the entire game after I put him together. What a missed opportunity. Still, even with those gripes, there's something to be said for the freedom BloodNet gives you. I can't think of another game that will let you join forces with a Cyber Elvis in the first place, along with not one but two children, and a nun all at the same time. Actually, you can recruit from a huge cast of characters. I didn't count, but I think it's in the ballpark of Baldur's Gate numbers of companions, which was over 20. On top of that, you can go anywhere at pretty much any time, and it seems like you can kill any NPC you meet, which I feel like is rare for these kinds of games, although I can't prove it. I wonder how far you can get just by assassinating characters with vampire bites. Ultimately, it does feel like BloodNet is a blueprint or maybe a prototype for much better games to follow. Regardless, I can't deny that one of its strong suits is how the issues it discusses are still relevant now. Vampires are a real problem, and we need to come together as a nation to make sure things don't get any worse. Oh, and there's the whole corporate overlords and control of the internet thing too. Stay tuned for the next adventure, which hopefully won't be quite as long. And hey, maybe there will be some snow.
'83, '67, '82, '69, '87, '59, 6F, 75.
Yeah, screw you too, buddy.